虽然说玩风暴的时间并不是很长，但是我们5名队员，已经在之前的一款模板游戏已经在一起，生活了有2年多了。
在训练时间，他会为我们做很多，包括班 pick 上的一些说法、想法，以及对地图的理解之类的，都会一一的去跟我们沟通。
一路杀过来的嘛，就最大的一些困难的话就是自己一些状态。因为我们有时候可能会比赛的时候，自身状态会比较不是很良好，那么我们就需要花很多时间去调整自己的一些状态。我现在最忧虑的就是队员的一些身体情况。我对现在成绩就是我们能获得暴雪嘉年华的那个资格，
会让我觉得我这么多年的游戏道路没有那么辛苦的白费的坚持下来，会让我觉得我有成功，最大的成功，也会让我的国家获得5项的荣耀。
And it all comes down to this Stormwind champion versus Ogre Brute.
I'm feeling really good about Stormwind here.
Whoa.
Am I seeing this right?
Could be a scare tactic, Bob. Could be nerves.
I don't think scare tactics work with ogres.
You know from experience.
Okay, well, let's not get into my personal life.
Hold that thought. Looks like we have a substitution. It's Tankmaster Overspark.
This guy's a very technical player. His game's about nuance, precision.
Whoa, that's Hearthstone.
Play it free on your phone or PC.
Rated T for teen.
We're definitely one of the hungrier teams for this title. I think we've had a lot of hype surrounding our team ever since when we first started playing.
We've been practicing about 8 hours per day coming into this event, and everybody has been spamming a ton of Hero League. We want to get really comfortable in our heroes coming into this tournament.
One of my favourite dynamics for the team is we all like to joke around with each other. We're all comfortable with each other and we all hang out a lot. There's a lot of joking in-game, out-of-game, but when we have to get serious, we get serious.
I don't really have to tell people to practice because everyone is motivated and they want to be the best and they try their hardest all the time.
With Dignitas, I think we show that we have 5 incredibly strong players who all have the ability to make our own plays on the map. We can create situations from anywhere. I think we're very confident in our ability to play every map and play almost any style.
All of our players have pocket picks. Having those kind of versatile picks really gives us a boost in our drafting.
We're really coordinated. We can turn any situation that looks bad into our favor.
For me, winning at BlizzCon, it would be really awesome because we'll be the first team whoever gets the title.
And I think it'd be really cool to, say, oh yeah, we're representing Europe and we came into the first World Championship and, we smashed it. Like, that would be an awesome feeling.
The Heroes of the Storm World Championship is brought to you in part by Intel, Windows 10, T-Mobile, and MasterCard.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Heroes of the Storm World Championship. Opening week here for our next series, which will be coming along very, very soon. But before we get to that, obviously we just saw something that was not really as expected as one would consider. Cloud9 came into our first series as probably one of the prime favorites there. But GIA gave them a bit of the run for their money, Gilly.
Yeah, you are right on the money there, Kylars. It was very interesting to see, but I really wanted to highlight the fact that GIA were so good at being able to, even when they were behind, the moment they got an advantage on Cloud9 by taking them out, some of their members, or winning a team fight like that, they were really able to capitalize on it. And I think it was maybe a little bit unexpected for Cloud9.
Todd, you cast that game, obviously. There were moments where Cloud9 looking a bit shakier than I was really expecting them to, and obviously you were watching them back in the back there. What did you really think of how Cloud9 started out their campaign?
I think they did really well overall, not necessarily in the most convincing of ways with 2 very one-sided games. GIA definitely put up some sort of a fight, but overall they were just solid enough. They made a few mistakes here and there in terms of calls, trying to go for that core in the end, even though it wasn't the worst of all mistakes since they hadn't really lost any fort, and even if they were gonna die, GIA couldn't really counter and win it. Maybe they could have done better in that situation, but in the end they were just too solid. And GIA, they impressed me. There was a lot of things that they were doing wrong. They were overextending a lot, but then eventually Like the fights in the start that they should have had a chance in, they were losing. And then down the line, the fights that they should have been losing really hard, they won a few of them.
Yes.
So that was actually a little bit weird, you know, to even like watch and see happen like this way.
Especially when they were down levels too, right? Like we saw that boss fight too, where they were down a level and they were still able to win that one, and then just they really capitalized, like we mentioned, as much as possible on that. It just wasn't quite enough to ever get them into really being ahead and being able to finish the game off winning.
I think something that was also pretty evident, which also, you know, we saw Dunktrain point out in his interview, was that they picked Morales towards the very end of that Sky Temple map because they knew it wasn't going to be very easy for them to really kind of get on towards Morales and really do big damage. I mean, even the talent choices that they went for the kind of AoE damage, unless they were going to do something big during those team fights, there wasn't any opportunity to get towards Morales with that kind of AoE potential.
What I really liked about the Morales is that Grubby said he was going to be a zero death Morales, and within 30 seconds in game, she already died. But to be honest, Dunktrain later down the line did really well of staying all the way back, healing from max range, and making sure he never really got caught. And yeah, that was very impressive play from a Morales, which we don't see come out very often, to be honest.
Yeah, it's one of the advantages you have as a Morales when you're not even having to help out melee assassins. If you're only having to help out ranged assassins and then actually having the front line just being able to soak up all the damage that they do, Morales is never really in a dangerous spot per se, so she always has plenty of room.
Yeah, absolutely. You really do have to play Morales that way too. It's almost a different style of play with her as a support than some of the other supports who can kind of move in and provide the heals needed and then get out. You really have to watch your positioning constantly because she doesn't have any escapes and she's very, very squishy, even though she did receive a little bit of a health bonus. So it really comes back into, if you need those heals, you need to pull back there too. And we've talked to Glaurung before, and he said, you know, you can pull off an Illidan and a Morales, but it's a completely different style of play because I have to go in, but then when I need a heal, I have to pull back, and that's when you heal me.
Exactly. So far in with those melee assassins, that's for sure. But for now, with GIA moving down into the lower bracket here in Group A, it's still a very, very tough group for them to kind of contest with. Our next two teams, which are coming up here, in Team Dignitas and Team YL, also very, very powerful opponents going up against them. Is GIA in a bit of trouble here going down to the lower bracket, Gilly?
I mean, definitely, like you mentioned, it's a very tough bracket for sure, but I think the one thing they've shown is even when they are down, they still are able to play pretty patiently and stay tenacious and be able to capitalize on any advantages that they can get. So I definitely think they have a shot of being able to still win and continue on.
So you think that applies not just in-game when they're one talent down, but also when they're one series down in the bracket?
Yes, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping.
Such an optimist. I appreciate that. That's cool. But then, of course, on the other side here, with Cloud9 asserting their dominance here, Todd, to start things off, do you likewise look at them and think to yourself, well, okay, they've probably got a really good shot against either Dignitas or YL? I
think, yeah, they're going to have a good shot. If Dignitas come out very strong here and crushes YL, I think they're going to be the favorites to win against Cloud9. But Cloud9, I think they definitely go into this tournament, you know, not just as the American champion that, you know, is not necessarily going to struggle against Europe or Korea. I think they can beat anybody with what we've seen from them and what we know about them.
All right, well, that does it for our pre-game to start things off. Let's head over to Anna now to find out what's going to be going on here in game number 2.
Thank you, guys. And, of course, welcome back from us here on the floor. We're so ready for this next match, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to the teams. First, it is our blue team representing Europe, Team Dignitas. And their challenger will be the red team, hailing from China. It's Team YL. Now, at this point in the competition, we know we're going to see good matches. But let's see how these teams feel like they're going to fare against each other.
comfortable going into our first matchup against Team YL.
我们对登塔这个队伍的话，就是觉得他们还蛮强的，应该会比我们厉害一点吧。跟他们对阵会全力以赴。
We've watched all regions and tried to keep up with what they're playing and showing in their games, but I think especially with the recent tournament, it's difficult to say this is what Korea and China are playing because it was a training thing and you don't know if that's what they actually wanted to pull out.
我们没有跟他们训练过，就是看他们一些之前的比赛。
从班 pick 上，从游戏的理解上来看，都比我们要强太多。
I think our meta would be really good into their meta, and I think just in terms of mechanical players, we're really strong.
我觉得我们队伍最明显的优势应该就是我们，在一起的时间比较长，比较信任对方吧。
I think the teamwork could catch us off guard if we don't play consistent or well.
I don't think there's anybody on the roster that we're worried about.
All right, the second series about to begin here between these two teams. We've already seen America start off very, very feisty in the first one. Let's see which region is going to try and keep up and keep on their heels. We have two teams, very, very diverse, very, very different. Obviously, you've got Team Dignitas, previously Bob ? They were built to defeat Team Liquid in Europe. They accomplished that, and now they're here on the international stage, Gilly.
They are, and you talked about them being able to defeat Team Liquid. They only fell to Na'Vi in the European Championship, so they do look very, very strong. But I think some people have been calling into question that strength, wondering if maybe that was their peak performance, and then from now they're going to start their phasing out period. We'll see if that's the case when they go up against Team YL, but I do think it comes down to a lot of the time how they fared with the latest patch.
And likewise, on the other side, we do have Team YL coming from China. They were previously the second seed coming out of China, but now they've been bumped up the ranks a little bit, and they've got some big shoes to fill here, Todd.
Yeah, I think both teams, actually, they're teams who have their own style. And YL, you know, they're known for their aggression, their love of Illidan, Jaina, you know, all these heroes, Sylvanas. And it's really going to be interesting to see whether they continue with that trend, you know, of picking these heroes that they're very good at and to try and get a win here over Dignitas, who prepared with fully having in mind that YL, they got these niche picks that they really like, and all alike. Dignitas, you know, they like Karazim. We know a number of compositions they like to play, and YL will be aware of that as well.
Yeah, that's definitely something that is very interesting. The fact that, as well, YL has had a good chunk of time with those BlizzCon practice matches with the Koreans that were pretty important, I feel at least, about boosting up their strength a bit here, Gilly. Those were some important matches.
Yeah, they absolutely were. They were able to go up against some of the top Korean teams too, so they were able to get a little bit of practice with multiple metas, which is not something that a lot of teams get to practice with when it comes into these big competitions. So that's definitely something that's good for them. It also helped them develop their styles. Some of the pocket picks that they really like, as YL do have the potential to pull those out, but as do Team Dignitas for sure.
Yeah, of course, Dignitas having done pretty well in the European Championship, only falling to Na'Vi, as you mentioned before. They have some of their pocket picks as well. They've been mentioning to us before that they have some pocket picks, and they've been practicing very intensely with some teams in the European scene to try and kind of move things forward in their own little bubble, trying to kind of surprise people here, Todd.
There's also a chance, too, that they think they might not need it as much, you know, to use whatever they've practiced that's secret here against YL, then they will need it against Cloud9, but then that will be taking a big risk. That would be overlooking a team like our young legends here in YL. So Dignitas is going to have to be careful here, not to underestimate their opponents. Yeah,
definitely not underestimate them. I mean, we kind of saw that in our previous series, right? You know, Cloud9 had these kind of get-goes, but they could have easily just kind of seized those games and pushed on forwards. But Cloud9, you know, there were moments where they could have lost that one, Gilly.
There were. Some of the boss pickups, you know, they went straight for them, and I think they felt very advantageous because maybe they were up a level or they were just feeling so confident coming in. But yeah, there were some moments that I was in the back biting my nails because I was like, what's happening? How is this game still going on? Especially that Sky Temple one.
Don't underestimate on the international stage. For now, though, we can head into the draft for game number 1 here between Team Dignitas and Team YL as they start things off on Tomb of the Spider Queen, a good old European favorite here. So Dignitas are going to be feeling very comfortable here, Todd.
Oh yeah, it's one of their absolute favorite map here. They can play so many different combos. It's probably one of the maps they practice the most, and I mean, even something like an Asmodan, you know, is something that we've seen from them in the past on this map that's done really well. And I'm sure they're feeling really comfortable. They're already going to this map, but they need to make sure, you know, they draft properly as well here.
Well, looking at the draft that we have so far, we do have Team YL banning out the Tassadar, and that could indicate that they're wanting to go with something a little more burst heavy when it comes to their compositions, especially because of the fact that a lot of times when you have the burst, it's almost just enough damage to take someone out. So having that Tassadar shield to be able to stop that damage is just what you need to be able to sustain through the initial burst.
I think they probably saw GIA fall to also a Tassadar that did really well with the force wall, so they want to make sure they don't have to face it. It looked really good, and it's such an easy thing to overlook. But now Stitches, it gets banned as well here from Team Dignitas. That's a little bit surprising. We don't really see Stitches get banned like this almost ever usually.
Definitely not a common thing. Something that Dignitas are probably respecting, that this could potentially be a pocket pick that they don't just want to go up against at all. And then on the other side, Team YL goes for the true standard of Jaina, which fits in any single composition, Gilly.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw the first pick Jaina twice, I believe, in the last series too, so it's going very consistent here. And we mentioned the Stitches, by the way. Stitches is something that YL does like to play, so if that's a concern for Dignitas, getting picked by those hooks, then I definitely understand wanting to not have him there.
Already starting things out, Team Dignitas with the Uther pickup. So as much as, you know, Bakery is well known for his Kharazim, Uther is still something that he really kind of started out being a monster support on, and then Kael'thas is going to get picked up here, Todd, for Team Dignitas.
Yeah, just a very solid hero to have on a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen that's going to be able to depush very easily against, you know, not just those minions, but potentially down the line against those web weavers. Chain bombs always gonna be a great thing to have here in your composition.
Yeah,
and it's just a great deal all around. Actually, I feel like with Bakery, to have started his career as a ranged assassin helps him so much in keeping everybody alive, because he knows how some of these heroes, how fragile they are in terms of positioning. He always knows how to be very, I guess, up close and ready to heal and save them.
That's a really good point. You see a lot. Whoa. All right.
Yeah.
That's earlier than I was expecting. That is Kerrigan coming out here for Team YL, and she has quite the kit, Gilly.
She absolutely does, and it all revolves around her combos of her abilities, using Ravage to jump in, throwing down her Impaling Blades, and then being able to use Primal Grasp to pull them in there, starts the chain of stuns. But we also see Maelstrom, which is very important, the heroic ability that she often uses. And with that Maelstrom, she's also able to build up Assimilation Shield, which is very important for her in being able to continue out the fight from there.
Yeah, Maelstrom is usually the go-to in terms of heroics. We don't see Ultralisk come out almost ever.
One thing's for sure, though, that pick this early on is a very aggressive pick. Usually Kerrigan, unless you have the proper supports around it, does fall off later on. Let's see how they go down that later. Tyrande is going to be the third pickup, so they're already looking for big aggression here.
Yeah, this is super early aggression. With a Kerrigan, a Jaina, and a Tyrande, they already have the potential to be a very early game team, and they're looking to capitalize on that, control the turn-in and the up and down. There's a lot of rotations that happen on Tomb of the Spider Queen. If they can control that and just get so far ahead that Team Dignitas never really has a chance to even come into getting Chain Bomb on Kael'thas, then they'll just run over the game from there.
It's so interesting for me to see how this develops here, you know, being an or past, you know, Warcraft and Starcraft player. Chinese players, they've always played so aggressive across all the games that I've played. Right. And now if you look at this draft, it's really looking like they want to continue that trend here on Heroes of the Storm, because Jaina, Kerrigan, and Tyrande, they're going to want to try and look to get into as many fights as possible so that they can get takedowns and they can pull ahead.
Yeah. Europe's no stranger to this, though. Europe is no stranger to this kind of play, so let's see how Team Dignitas is going to adapt. They did band out the Muradin, so they definitely don't want extra stuns.
Who plays very similarly to this, actually? I guess Navi. They love to play with a lot of stun lock and take out people very quickly on a map like this. Dignitas, they've shown that they struggle and stuff. Now the execution is going to be a whole and other things, I guess, because not everybody can execute this kind of composition here as well as somebody like Navi. So YL, they're going to have their work cut out for themselves.
Leoric and Johanna going to get picked up here for Team Dignitas. So a strong front line here, Gilly, to complement a Kael'thas and allow him a bit more room to breathe against this kind of monster that's going to be barreling down on him.
Yeah, absolutely. And the nice thing, too, is Kael'thas is, of course, very squishy and wants to be in the back to provide the damage safely behind that strong front line, but he also has the ability for follow-up CC on top of that. So if they are able to catch somebody out with like a Blessed Shield or even the Condemn into something like that, then they could also follow up with the Gravity Lapse from there.
The Muradin ban was such an absolute must, though. Like, I don't even want to imagine Kerrigan, Tyrande, and Muradin together. Like this would have been getting completely out of hands.
Oh, and ETC comes out here for Team YL. Yet another pretty aggressive warrior, to be honest. Not a hero that we particularly see too much of in Europe and America. But again, toolkit-wise here, he's a very mobile warrior with Power Slide, allowing him to get into good positions to be aggressive.
Yeah, if he pushes somebody back with using Power Slide, then Face Melt and isolate somebody, that person's gonna go down so quick. With Tyrande being able to use Hunter's Mark, with Kerrigan being able to land combos, YL, they wanna go straight down to business here.
And that all scary mosh pit. Some teams have been running things that haven't been mosh pit, though. We have seen some stage dives in some of these scrims, which is pretty crazy to say the least. And it's not even that uncommon on smaller maps recently. So this is going to be interesting here, Gilly.
Yeah, you know, they do have a lot of stuns to be able to potentially deal with that, but a lot of times still, even if you could just catch a couple of those members of stuns, or even if you can zone in a way to maybe even just take out somebody so quickly, because they do have the potential, like you mentioned, Todd, with the Hunter's Mark to burn someone down. I think it's still very likely we could have that. But Zagara to round out the composition for Team YL. So above all, still going to have lots more damage, but also providing vision for around those turn-in points too. Very, very important. She even can stop the turn-ins happening with a lot of her abilities, and here we see Devouring Maw too. The heroic ability always chosen for Zagara because it's going to be so good at zoning now. We can even use that to like zone out an Uther and then take everyone else out.
Do not use Devouring Maw like this in video, though, please.
What, to clean up mercenary camps? You don't want to do that?
Please don't.
Oh, well, okay then, I guess. And Team Dignitas has one final pick, so they're going up against a very aggressive comp, one that's keeping vision on the map a lot. So there's a lot of map control here for Team YL. What is Team Dignitas going to pick finally to try and counter that? It's a bit tough. Oh, it's Asmodan.
I touched on this a little bit. They've got one of the absolute best Asmodan in Europe, potentially as well in the world. I mean, this could be one of the proofs here that we need to be able to say that comfortably in ADRD. The mad scientist, as you like to call him. He plays all the most difficult heroes out there that there is to play. And having Leoric and Johanna, he's going to be able to stack so many of those minions and build up his damage on the Globe of Annihilation.
As long as Kael'thas doesn't get too greedy, he will be fine, that's for sure. This is some great wave clear that they've got to stack up that Globe of Annihilation. Obviously, if you're unfamiliar with Asmodan, he builds up damage over the entire course of the game, if you allow him to, from the last hits that he gets from those minions. So later on in the game, unless you actually deal with him early on, like this team comp has, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, but YL has serious potential for denying that. Stopping the rotations is going to be #1 for them in the early game, and they have all the tools needed to be able to do that.
All right, well, thank you very much, Gilly. Don't forget to join us on Twitter with the @esportsheroes as well as the hashtag HeroesWC. And make sure to hashtag which team you think is going to win. We'll be checking on that throughout the game to figure exactly out who your favorites are out there. But for now, we can get into game #1 to find out who is going to be victorious here. Moving through Group A, what a draft that we have from these two teams. As we have spawning to the left-hand side, it will be Team Dignitas with ADRD on Asmodan, Athero will be on Leoric, Bakery is going to be on Uther, Snitch is on Kael'thas, and finally Zarmony is on Johanna. And then to the right-hand side here of Tomb of the Spider Queen, we have Team YL with DD going to be playing Jaina. We have Tyrande being played by Guige. We have Zagara being played by Liang. SBY is going to be playing Kerrigan. And finally, Xiaodi will be playing ETC here, Todd. As we get into the start of this game, both of the teams going to be moving towards the middle lane by the looks of things. And already you can see Team Dignitas is trying to block off the minions to slow them down for as long as possible. This gives them a little bit more opportunity early on in the game to actually have the fight on their side of the map so that they could potentially take the advantage here. As we do have them still blocking this off. And we will see SBY just positioning himself. Already you can see, though, that YL adapted and didn't want to go to the middle lane to try and even contest that location.
Yeah, going into this series, I think they were probably expecting this year, Dignitas. They were probably expecting YL to try and play a very, I guess, fast and furious style of basically trying to fight a lot and win these fights. And
oh, that's already power slide into a Lunar Flare. Actually trying to catch the Auric here very, very quickly, but he will be kept alive. Very difficult to really catch one of these warriors early on.
I think they built their comp here, Dignitas, very nicely to try and counter the style here. of their Chinese opponents. Oh, that combo's gonna land nicely.
Very, very good combo. That will be Uther going down. He is first blood here already. And that's Dignitas taking a little bit of a loss. A bit unsurprising, but the thing is we already said it during the draft. This is an aggressive comp.
Yeah.
We need to see Team YL gain some momentum early on.
Yeah, Dignitas here, Team Dignitas, their goal is going to be clear. It's just to play fairly passive, build up their damage on Asmodan's Globe of Annihilation. And on the other side, it's going to be to try and fight as much as possible, get a lot of takedowns, pull ahead in experience, and eventually win the game through, I guess, a bunch of more turning.
Yeah, and ADRD has to be careful about how far he goes out there. Wow, they're very adamant about this wave clear, even using Lunar Flare just to get some extra damage on some of those minions. Very, very fast. So, mana management, top priority here by Team YL.
Yeah, Dignitas, they have to play it slow. They can't get caught. If they keep on getting caught, then this composition of YL is going to completely snowball out of control, and they're going to crush them completely. And we see people keep on getting caught so far. Only one single takedown.
Still oh, there's the combo, landing it on towards Leoric. He's going to end up falling here. And that is another kill going to Dignitas. That's a great combo by SBY.
This might not seem like the biggest of deals, but when you get a takedown actually on this map, you get 3 extra gems. If they keep on piling up some of these takedowns, they're going to have so many gems here to work with YL, and they're going to keep on turning in these to get the web weavers, which as much as you have Asmodan on your team and you're trying to get some stacks, you're going to start losing structures and falling further and further behind in experience. You don't want that to happen. So Dignitas, they need to hang in there as much as possible while building up that damage on Asmodan.
They're playing for the long game here at Team Dignitas, so don't be surprised if they're pretty darn passive in this earlier stages of the game. They're just trying to protect Asmodan in the middle of these lanes, looking to try and get as much AoE on towards these minions, get those stacks up. With the deny, there's going to be a few more.
Yeah, I think Asmodan's doing a really good job of building up the stacks so far here.
Missing the little floor towards Zarmany, so not the full combo going down from this composition we're seeing here from them, but it's all into power slide talent. So what they're effectively doing here for ETC is they're making sure that he can be in the right spot at the right time. That was a good power slide forwards, but it's onto Leoric. He will Wraith walk away.
He's always the first one to move in here, ETC, with ideally Kerrigan and Tyranno just right behind.
Thoreau, I don't think he has Wraith walk at all because he just used it. That's Leoric going down once again here. And we'll just have to see. And with those 3 kills...
This is really starting to add up here, experience-wise. And Dignitas, they might actually start to get into a state of mind here where they think they have to play even more defensively, which, I mean, as nice as it is to hang in there, this is what you have to do. If you are on the back foot the entire game, it's going to be really hard to win, because Heroes of the Storm is a game of action and objectives, and these objectives here, they're just going to come into play now for the first time for Team YL.
Redbury was already on the way, stacks up 124 extra bonus damage at the moment here for Asmodan, as the Lunar Flare is going to go down once again on towards Leoric, and the Condemn will make sure that there's no more follow-up here from Team YL.
Upon the blue team.
A fantastic job here so far from our Chinese team. It's the European in a little bit of trouble. I mean, it's just still the very start of the game, but if you can get some kind of experience lead here with this kind of composition, while, like I said before, that's when it's best, really.
They've done really well about seizing the initiative in this game, which is what they had to do with their composition right now. They're getting towers. They already got a lot towards the bottom lane because Zigara is just a god in 1v1 lanes. And obviously, she's always known that she's going to be in that 1v1 lane because everyone's prioritizing to try and get ADRD stacked up and good to go for the late game.
Yeah. Cleans is selected here from Uther, and I can't blame him. I mean, against this composition, definitely could come in handy. But now YL, it looks like they're actually doing a 4-1 here in terms of pushing at the same time. They've already got so many gems, actually, those YL here, even though they just got a full turn themselves.
As much as there's been a few kills on towards Team Dignitas, though, at least they haven't lost too many gems themselves. They've lost a few here and there. That's a stun on towards Xiaodi, but it's not really going to do too much more. They're looking to actually follow up for the full kill, and there's going to be another Flame Strike at the end. Will be able to pick him up there. SBY, though, managed to move in, get himself a KO pass in compensation, but he may end up going down himself. He's got to be careful. I think he's able to get away.
Yeah, Dignitas stayed patient, and eventually they pick up a fight here, I guess straight, with just 1-for-1.
There's a Lunar Flare on towards 2 members, but really no follow-ups. It's a bit too far into enemy territory.
I wonder how Asmodan's doing here in terms of stacks. Obviously, you know, still building that. If you can get a I think it's around 60 stacks by the time you're level 10. Then with your Black Bolt, you're going to be able to one-shot a lot of those minion waves and build that up even more.
He's already way past that, man. He's already way past that at this point. ADRD, you already mentioned it in the pre-game, as I like to call him, the mad scientist. He has these pocket picks whenever he wants to go for them, and he's one of the best Asmodans out there. And for now, well, at least he's kept himself alive, and it's only been the Warriors at the front that have been dying off.
In an interview before Bakery, he said that ADRD was the best Asmodan in Europe. So that was quite a statement. Imagine he went Asmodan a few times in this tournament and they won it. Then he'd be the best in the world, potentially, here on that era.
I was surprised, actually, that they were going to bring it out here against this aggressive composition at the moment. 162 stacks here as SBY going to get another turn in. So Team YL really continuing to put on the pressure, and they've got level 10. Team Dignitas has to be very, very careful here. As Team YL looking to push on forwards. Look at SBY already going on for that combo against Athiro. He will be able to get away, though.
Yeah, the rest of his team here disagrees. Didn't quite go for it just yet, but with those web weavers here coming in, Team YL, they are looking to try and extend that experience lead that they've got.
Level 10s, we have Devouring Maw, Mosh Pit, Summon Water Elemental, Maelstrom, and finally Shadowstalk coming in here from Tyrande. So even just that little extra bit of healing going in, because you've got to remember, in this composition, Tyrande's really their only proper healer. So she's going to have to be very, very helpful in that regard. Overflowing Light is almost a given at 13.
Yeah, Mosh Pit could actually come into play big time. It's one of the heroics that's really easy to underestimate, and then if he catches 3 or 4 heroes of your team and there's nobody to cancel that, then you're going to be in so much trouble. So you're going to have to keep an eye out here for some of these mosh pits later down the line.
Now that I think about it, Team YL has to continue to dictate the fights throughout the entire game, because if they don't, and those Globes of Annihilation keep flying in, they don't have the healing sustained from just Tyrande alone to really start saying, okay, we'll back off a little bit, we'll heal up, and then come back for another fight. Because if they keep getting hit by Globes, they're just going to get chunked down.
Yeah, they did such a good job here with Team YL with all of these early on fights, really winning every single one of them, getting so many kills, and now they are across the map, they are applying pressure, they're going to steal here these bruiser camps.
That's a good start there for them, and level 10's already kicking in for Dignitas as well. We have Divine Shield, Phoenix, Blessed Shield, and also actually it looks good to be moving in here very, very quickly. Divine Shield's already been popped on towards Uther, though. He was in a bit of a bad spot here to try and really rival that, and will be taken down by ETC very, very quickly. The Maws, oh wow, what a great combination from the Mosh Pit, exactly when they were about to come out from that Maw, and it looks like Team YL right now are running away with the start of this game.
I think Dignitas just dropped about 80 plus gems here with this fight loss. They had so many on them, and now I mean, even getting a single turn in is going to be almost impossible. As much as Asmodan has 40 gems, the last thing I see happening in this game is him making it to the middle of the map with 3 forts being down, again getting a turn in down.
I love watching Team YL orchestrate this. They are not stupid at all. They are saying, well, we are just going to keep on the aggression over and over and over. And in Team Dignitas' shoes with this comp, they can't do anything against this right now. All forts are down. That cushion outside is gone. It's harder now here for ADRD to gather stacks because they're always all over the place and there's no safety for him to retreat back to.
So far, this game is looking like YL, they are the heavy favorite going into it somehow. You know, it can just come down to one single map, one single draft, but if you think about it, Dignitas, it's one of probably their best map, I think. It's their best map here. And they know how to play an Asmodan comp, but it's just not working out here so far from them at all.
Even more aggression at level 13. Double sprint on Tyrande and Kerrigan, not even a need for overflowing light. And whilst we have Spell Shield going down ETC just to be able to keep himself alive at the front, tank things up and make sure he's good to go. Getting some stacks here and there, but the boss is being taken. There is no way they can get there in time. YL is going to be able to take this one.
Yeah, I think Dignitas probably doesn't even cross their mind here to try and go across the map and fight one talent down. With the way this has been going, the only chance here, the only light at the end of the tunnel is going to be through Asmodan, building up his damage. If he can do that well enough, if he can continue while Dignitas stays alive in this game, if they need to hang in there, they are going to be able to, down the line, finally win some fight. 250 bonus damage at minute 10.
That's good.
That's 15 times faster than when I play Asmodan.
It could be a hard thing, but at least he's got the composition to try and back him up. Going to use that laser to bring down this boss as quickly as possible, but still has to be careful. They know that there is the potential for their opponents to die pretty heavily on there, especially once this keep starts firing at the boss. But it's quite low. They're not going to risk it here at Team YL. They know they have a huge advantage.
That didn't do that much damage here in terms of boss, but that did enough. You know, with 3 forts already being down, the top wall is now down as well, and 56 gems out of 60 were already turned in here for YL. I'm pretty sure they're going to achieve one more in a second.
Look how confident they look about this. Kerrigan could have turned in during all of that, but she's pushing out waves because she knows that she can just wait for a while and then do it and allow those web weavers to be even closer towards their opponent's base. This is really cool stuff from Team YL.
Yeah, and I mean, there were even one talent up. If Dignitas tried to move in position to prevent that turn-in, it would go really bad for them fighting one talent down with the way this has been going and against the composition they are facing. So again, Dignitas, they can just... The only thing they can do here is kind of sit back, try to weather the storm for now, and once they're satisfied with the damage that has been building up on Asmodan's globe, then they can start fighting a little bit more.
And with level 13 kicking in now here for Kael'thas, does have chain bomb, so that makes it a little bit harder here for Kerrigan and the composition of ETC trying to jump in there, do something a bit more volatile. If that chain bomb does go off on them, there's not that much healing behind it. Everything is about power, power, power here for YL.
It's so cool to see from Team YL. Spell, shield, ice block, and double sprint to try and deal with this globe of annihilation that they know they're going to have to deal with at some point, because I don't think they're going to be able to end the game before it comes into play properly.
You saw that globe, though, come in. DD at the back is very, very low. It's now difficult for them to really take these fights, and without overflowing light there, we see Tyrande not really having much help towards his composition. So it's going to be interesting as this game goes on. If Dignitas keeps their forts keeps alive and doesn't overextend too much outside their walls, that could be a little bit, though. Maybe they're going to go for it. Nope. Able to get them out of there. Team YL can't get any more kills just yet.
This is so cool, by the way, what Team YL just did. They were here in the middle of the map. They probably wouldn't mind taking a fight, but they were just trying to slow down the deep pushing that was going to happen at top and bottom. So essentially they're saying, you're either going to have Asmodan here helping, or we're going to win the fight. And if Asmodan's helping, then he's not building up his stacks. Just so many good decisions, but now they need to be careful here, Team YL, not to overextend.
Yeah.
Because if they lost a fight here, they would be threatened in terms of losing their core or a keep, maybe like one fort. But they'd be exposed to letting the opponents come back experience-wise, which you don't want to have happen ever.
328 stacks at the moment on Globe of Annihilation. And they are wanting to get keep damage done. They were poking around with it with the Banelings coming in, but still a bit difficult. So as time goes on, Team Dignitas, a bit more of a better opportunity to come back into this one.
Yeah, they've got over 100 gems. If they somehow won a fight, it would be instant turn-in. They'd be pushing on every single lane, doing so much damage. And then surely, Asmodan eventually would be sure to reach his 500 maximum additional damage.
Taking the Bruiser camp here, still putting on the pressure. Team YL trying to rotate on around. At least for them, you know, nothing's being sneaked behind all of this. The enduring creep and being able to, endless creep even, I should say, really keeps good eyes on the entirety of the map. So whenever they poke out in a lane, they're normally being spotted.
Great G got hit by his very dedicated Globe of Annihilation here, where he was in that corner of the map. YL applying so much pressure, but not quite diving in too fast. Even though they're level 17 against 15, they know that if they go too deep, if Dignitas just keeps on pulling back, disengaging, and kiting their way out of it, it could be dangerous.
I think Team YL is just going to look for a level 20 endgame. Like, just try and blow them up at level 20 once they've got themselves those level 20 talents, because otherwise, this is going to get problematic for them. The globes keep coming in. Didn't do that much that one during that because of this level difference. But every time they move forward, Flame Strike hits, Globe of Annihilation hits. This is, no, not going to be able to lure them into this small location.
In terms of turning, actually, what YL's doing, they're not even collecting all of the gems that they could be. So it's going to take forever to eventually reach another one. They're going really deep now.
Oh, this is ambitious, and it looks like the Warrior Walk has been able to get Althea out of there. That's still a lot of damage that Team YL are being dealt. And look at that, they already have to scatter seconds into that fight. They've been split off. This is Dignitas' opportunity to do some big damage towards them. And already there's the globe. Two of them end up blowing up. The AoE damage is just too much here for Team YL to deal with. And that is going to be Dignitas now mounting some kind of comeback. Or even the renewed swing is able to slow him down there with that skeletal reach.
Oh, did he?
Oh!
Barely dodges this one.
He's still visible. Oh, he was still visible.
He's going to get chased down.
Yeah, I think he's going to die. He's got to be so careful. He needs to get behind that wall quickly, but the swing, and it does hit him thanks to the extra range on the swing. 3 for 0. And in the late game, Team Dignitas' composition prevails.
Yeah, Dignitas' patience really paying off. They're going to go for the turn-in themselves immediately. This is what they had been waiting for. They were so patient. They waited for 15 minutes. They kept on getting sniped here and there, at the top, at the bottom. But eventually they get their moment here, and they get the full turn-in and start pulling ahead here in this game.
And the issue now is that where does Team YL really find their momentum from this point on? Obviously, we've seen compositions revolving around Kerrigan in the past that have had things like a Brightwing help it out, that have given him her extra shields to actually help it in the late game, and even more shield talents that we currently see here, because don't forget, level 13, she's taken Sprint, far more aggressive than actually having extra shields being assimilated.
This is now the slightest lead that you can have in a game of Heroes of the Storm, a one-level lead with no talent lead. Level 17 against 16, Dignitas is completely back into this, and with the win they just got in a very important fight here, they've got so much momentum here going for them. They were going for the turn-in, so they're gonna have Web Weavers pushing it. I think they're gonna fully catch up on experience.
No, I
Considering how many levels were there? They were 3 levels behind. I think it was 13 against 16 at some point.
It's a scary position here for Team YL, definitely, because now you know your opponent's composition has great late game potential, and you've allowed them to get to that point. And this one fight that they were, I didn't even really think that they needed to take too much. I would have rather have seen them just kind of try and get to 20 before their opponents, and then try and make something happen with level 20 talents. But now, after giving them all of that experience, they're caught up and they have more damage.
I think so many teams, they would have crumbled under the pressure here if they were Dignitas. They would have tried to fight a little bit too early. I mean, staying patient for 15 minutes, it just feels like forever in a game of Heroes of the Storm. You know, a game where sometimes games can last as little as 6-7 minutes, but they stayed in there, they hang in there for the longest of time, and now finally they've gained momentum through a great fight here. ADR, they really get, I guess, getting his worth of gold here in terms of performance.
A strong performance.
Pulling his weight around the team, really.
Yeah. He's a small guy as well, so he's actually not that difficult to pull.
Asmodan's a big guy, what do you mean?
Asmodan's a big guy, that's for sure. I'm not even sure they're going to do any damage. The thing is that Asmodan as well, now at level 16, has blood for blood. So even if he got low at any point, he'd just end up draining a lot of health from someone like an ETC and then being totally fine in these kinds of situations. For me, looking at this now, Team YL has to hit a fantastic mosh pit to try and kind of even up the scales here, because they know that Team Dignitas isn't going to split, so that's their one route back into this game, I feel.
It's going to be so hard, I think, though, for them. There is a few interrupts, you know, Uther can stun, there's the gravity lapse from Kael'thas, there's Johanna as well with the Blessed Shield, so it's going to be tough. They're going to have to plan this perfectly. I think maybe Kerrigan and ETC, Kerrigan and ETC, they need to go in simultaneously. I don't think the mosh pit can happen immediately, because usually at the start of the fight, that's when you most expect it, so everybody's looking for it. And then maybe if ETC can somehow wait for all of these guys to have used their heroics and their stunts already, then he can go maybe for the mosh pit and catch a few people, but it's...
I mean, the scary thing about that
really
is,
difficult.
Yeah, the thing is that the longer you wait, the more the chipping damage from Kael'thas and Asmodan's just going to be stacking up over and over, because they've gone for such an aggressive comp.
I think Asmodan was at almost 400 bonus damage as well, so that backline of YL, which is, or even the front line, to be honest, like there's Kerrigan at the front, you got Jaina, you got Tyrande, they're all very fragile heroes that die very quickly.
Yeah.
So it's really tough for them to somehow make this work here right now.
And you've got to think about as well what goes on when it goes into the second games. I mean, obviously it's not going to be Tomb and the Spider Queen again. And for us coming from a European perspective, we know that Dignitas, Team Dignitas has always had a strong, firm hold on this map. And we've seen them from time to time have this pocket pick of Asmodan that's always worked really well. So
you think that with this fight win now, Dignitas, they're like the favorites to win this game? Because
I see
they're still one level behind.
I know
and
that.
quite a few forts as well.
I know that.
We know they're going to do damage with the Web Weavers that are going to come into play, but...
I think it genuinely is that hard with these kind of compositions right now, because it was all on the early game. And as I said before, it's about that mosh pit. If they can land a really good one. Obviously, Kerrigan combos can always make wonders happen. But the thing is that even if a Kerrigan combo catches 2 or 3 of them, she still doesn't have as much shields. She's still going to be very, very squishy and going to go down. Maybe Jane has to do big damage.
YL needs Dignitas to make a mistake, which so far in this game, I mean, they've got sniped in places, and they've got caught out of position a few times, but no one of these mistakes were major. There was, I think after a few minutes into the game, nobody really died for a very long time for Dignitas, and that's really when it matters the most. You know, those early game snipes, they don't really matter. They give almost no experience, and proportionally to a hero getting somehow taken down later down the line, it's completely different. You know, like if you die when you're level 20, then it can change. The game can end very abruptly. Whereas early on in the game, doesn't really matter that much, even though it was part of why I think Team YL, they were able to pull ahead and start building up that experience lead that they got very nicely as well.
All right, well, before we get back into this game, guys, let's take a quick look and hear about what Dignitas thinks their strengths are here coming into the World Championship.
I think one of our other strongest points is that all of our players have pocket picks. I obviously play Monk a lot, we have Stitzes and Chen on Athero, we have Asmodan on ADRD, and having those kind of versatile picks really gives us a boost in our drafting.
A lot of people will be prepping for us from our Prague performance, but we've changed a lot of our playstyle since Prague, picking a couple of different heroes.
Going into this tournament, our form has been a lot better and we feel a lot more comfortable playing on stage now.
If we come to the games with the right mindset,
Knowing what we want to play before we come into the game and focusing on getting that.
we shouldn't have problems with any teams.
Experience has taught the Protoss that when we do not fight together, we die alone. But we shall not see defeat this day. For we stand as one. Our differences will not divide us, but make us stronger. Together, we will defend the Nexus with honor and earn our glory. I am Hierarch Artanis, leader of all Protoss. And in unity, there is strength.
我们的队员大 T 他在试训的时候，因为照片参加比赛需要一张照片，但是他的照片没有办法取得，于是我们的领队就用中国非常著名的歌手王力宏，当做他的照片交给比赛方，中国很多观众都认识他，把他叫做王力宏。
An event, a moment for people to come together.
We are thrilled that you are here.
Hello, BlizzCon. This community is everything.
Well, just as Lincoln Park mentioned, obviously it might get burned to the ground here in just a little bit here by Team Dignitas, as their entire composition revolves around fire, and they're doing a lot of damage indeed. But at the moment, we are experiencing a few technical issues, so please stand by whilst we get all those sorted. And thank you very much for your patience, guys, here, whilst we do continue on. So we're still in game number 1 between Team Dignitas and Team YL. We've already gone over kind of the basics of these compositions and how they interact with one another. And at the moment, Team YL is suffering after being in the lead for quite a while in that first game.
Yeah, I mean, most of their players here died a moment ago. They know that the full turn-in is finally going to happen for Team Dignitas. There is a chance that Team Dignitas just doesn't just snowball here from there, but they completely take over the game, you know? Or don't even... That was phrased wrong. They don't even just equalize the situation, but they completely snowball, actually, because although they're one level behind, getting that full turn-in usually translates into some nice catching up in terms of experience. And they've already got enough gems to go for the next turn-in after that. So it's really going to be, like, everybody knows what's coming here at this point, especially with the time that this is taking for us to rejoin the game. What's going to happen is that Dignitas, they're going to push in, they're going to catch up in experience. YL, they will come back into the game after resurrecting, and there's going to be a fight. And that fight is going to be so important, because if YL loses it, that's another turn-in for Dignitas. And if Dignitas gets another turn-in, then they start pulling ahead, which you can't have happen here with the composition that YL is attempting here in this game.
Yeah, I completely agree. And obviously these Web Weavers, with how much momentum they gained off those past couple of kills, are going to be ended up knocking on their opponent's door pretty quickly once it comes to the point where they had a few members down.
Yeah.
Dignitas usually does distribute themselves correctly across the map to try and kind of seize the opportunity and push on strong.
It's almost as if Dignitas, they saved up money and they built this huge piggy bank, and now they're spending, and they're doing really well with it. They're buying the new tech stuff and the new upgraded Web Weavers that are going to do so much more than the ones early on in the game.
They're true investors. They've planned basically for the late game, and it's gone well. It's gone well. I mean, something to note is that, you know, whilst Azmodan hasn't gone down this entire game, he himself has had 40 gems that he's been sitting around with for a while. So also all this is going to push on forward. They're going to have a very, very strong little piggy bank, as you do mention. So for Team YL, I kind of have to reiterate what I said before the break. They are in a lot of trouble. It's not easy when you've got this kind of composition to really make it work. And you said at the very beginning of all of this, these Chinese teams, they're very, very aggressive. But once all
sometimes too aggressive as well. And I really think that this was potentially, like, here, one of their mistakes. As nice as it sounded, you know, back when I said that, you know, they were going forward, making sure that Azmodan wasn't getting stacks, they stayed far enough, Dignitas. They stayed far enough to make sure that nobody was getting caught out of position. They made sure that every single one of these Globe of Annihilation was catching a lot of minions, and that damage kept on building up to something like 350 or something, or 300 plus before that fight even started here. That fight that really went south for Team YL. So I think maybe if they had spread out a little bit better, maybe gone for some camps, gone for yet another turn-in, it would have been better for them, because they, in terms of experience, they would have kept on pulling ahead better and better, especially since the Globe of Annihilation itself, they built up a very nice talent pool to try and counter it with the double sprint, the spell shield, and the improved ice block. So it's a little bit contradictory if you think about it. You know, they tried to get a counter for the Globe of Annihilation, but at the same time, they kept on staying very scared of it, even though it's got a cooldown. You know, it's not like you throw one of these bad boys every 3 seconds.
But that is the scarier thing about it. In the end, it's like the Nova Ultimate, but on a 10-second cooldown, because that's how much damage it's going to end up doing. I don't quite know the exact number right now of what we're seeing Azmodan stacks on, but I can imagine after seeing it around the 350 mark, etc. before, it's going to be close towards like 400 since the last time we actually saw it. So that's so much damage, Todd, especially in Blackpool. That's so much damage.
It's looking like we're having a tough time observed, but the game's still going on a little bit.
It seems so. We're still experiencing some technical issues, guys, here. So do bear with us as we continue on against this. You're going to have to listen to our lovely, lovely voices for just a little bit more. But we have talked quite a lot about this game and the kind of the opportunities and potentials of what's going to come out from this. So I've got to ask you, Todd, moving on slightly further afield from this match in particular, the winner going up against Cloud9, that's got to be a hype match for sure. That's going to be a great match.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially, like, if you think about it, the other group has Navi and DK. Let's just assume here that, you know, DK is the favorite and they take first. You don't want to be playing them in the semifinals. So taking first place here in that Group A is going to be so important. So whoever ends up facing Cloud9 here, that's going to be a big match. Whoever takes first, there is a good chance, might have to face Navi. I mean, maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but everybody has their favorite, and I think most people would agree that DK, they're maybe the favorite to take first place in Group 2 and Navi second.
I mean, that match alone is going to be pretty hype itself as well.
If it happens, again, like, this is hugely theoretical. That's just my opinion.
I mean, that's the great thing about...
the Tempo Storm, let's not forget about Tempo Storm as well. They have the potential as well to do well, to qualify for the semifinals. That second group is pretty tough as well.
That's the great thing about how you look at all of these groups and everybody coming from all of these regions. The way in which all of these clash is going to be very, very different, very, very sparse to everything we've ever seen before. So this is already, in these two series, just a glimpse of what we're going to see, considering the potential craziness. I mean, we already saw Lieutenant Morales, who a lot of people are like, whoa, I don't really want to do that. It's kind of scary. But Cloud9 already assessed the situation and knew that they were going to be able to get away with something like that.
And again, this is the first, I guess, best and biggest global tournament that we're seeing of this scale. You know, like every single region here is represented. All the top teams that went through some very tough, not just qualifiers, even pre-qualifiers. you had to qualify for the actual regional finals in every single region. And in this case, we have all of the best teams here in this tournament, and it's really exciting already to have seen all these games. The first series, I can't believe that the games that we saw out of these two teams. Like I was like, this is like a dream, you know, like very, I guess, back and forth game in a way where one team was ahead, but then the other team brought it back at some time. There were no one-sided games, really, even though you can look at it and be like, oh, okay, Cloud9, they were ahead in experience for most of the game. Like, you know, the negative people will be like, oh, they almost threw it and stuff, but I really think that GIA, they put up a pretty good fight.
Okay, well, still experiencing a few technical issues, guys. So before we get back into our games, let's hear from Team Dignitas here at the World Championship.
I think one of the funniest moments playing as a team is not actually in a pro game, but in a scrim. We just like started learning medic. We think, oh, he's really strong. And we put the medic back out, right? And then we're like, oh yeah, let's go bot lane. We can take that keep. And instead of going like in front of the keep with the medivac, we flew into the keep and just all died.
All right, welcome back here to the World Championship for Heroes of the Storm for the opening week, as we are actually going to be going to a regame here between these two teams. Apparently our technical issues couldn't 100% be solved, and in fairness to these two teams, considering their situation, we will be regaming so that they can have the level playing field to start things off. The thing is that even if they go into a game, exactly the same game with exactly the same compositions, the objectives don't change. Both teams know what they have to do, and there's not really any way that somebody can just kind of randomly screw something up just because it's a regame. So
it feels like from this game that we saw already, which didn't come to its conclusion, sadly, both teams, they've already learned a lot actually from each other, I think.
I agree.
Especially, I think Dignitas, I wonder actually how they changed things up against such an aggressive YL. Like, because even though it seemed like after 15 minutes of patience, they had finally found an answer, you know, I guess just being patient in itself and then picking your spots and taking a fight at the right time. Overall, YL, they dominated most of that game, and they can also learn from that mistake as well.
Yeah.
Where they kind of let go of this at some point, and I think took a few bad fights and made a few poor decisions as well.
The onus is still on them to establish a strong early game, and for Team Dignitas now, they can just be like, okay, this is how aggressive you were. We can probably just sit back. The thing is we've seen...
maybe they bring the aggression themselves a lot more so, because when you go for an Asmodan, you know that you're going to have to sit back, especially, I mean, with what YL open with in the draft, a lot of stun lock, you go Asmodan, you're like, well... we can't really play very aggressive ourselves, even though, to be honest, they didn't play the most defensive I've seen some teams play.
I agree.
They tried a lot to go in the middle at first, and I think that's what put them behind at the same time.
Yeah, the Leoric having a few deaths there was pretty far out compared to what we would normally see from some of these European teams on Tomb of the Spider Queen, when you can actually... the lanes are so close together as an Asmodan that you can sit him almost on the middle gate and still be able to hit waves in the particular
He's very
locations.
good at basketball.
Yes, he is.
When the ball's on fire.
He is. That is.
And there's no net.
That's true. The net is several small little nets. But the thing is that obviously they do want to move out kind of towards the minion wave, so that before you actually have the later talents that make Globe of Annihilation travel quicker and cast quicker, the globe doesn't take as long to actually hit those minions, and they can time sync things up nicely. So there's a bit of give and take here for an Asmodan player.
Yeah.
How safe do you really want to be to sacrifice maybe some stacks?
I wonder actually the Uther pick, because, you know, we see Dignitas going a lot over in Europe, especially during the Europe regional finals. We saw Dignitas go a lot for Karazim over something like Uther. So maybe they had already planned down the line to go for something like an Asmodan, and they knew that they were gonna have to face a lot of stun lock. So they were like, if we go for Uther over Karazim, it's probably gonna be a lot better to keep people alive. Divine Shield isn't gonna help, you know, just the heals as well. Cleanse is gonna help a whole bunch. It seems like Karazim is something that they usually want to play when the composition of the opponent is a little bit more standardized and with not as much stun lock. You agree?
I think so. I think so. And oftentimes on a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen, you're not necessarily by any means forced into the composition that we've been seeing Team Dignitas actually pick up here. They've actually ran some pretty aggressive comps themselves on this map, so they know what they're playing against. They have ran something like this in the past themselves.
They're very capable of playing very aggressive themselves, and we love Stunlock, but it feels like it's not as much their style as, say, somebody like Navi.
No, true. I agree with that. Dignitas are a little bit more patient, but they know that they have to mix it up because there is so much level of competition here in Heroes of the Storm at the moment. And if you are very one-dimensional, you can be exploited in a game like this, for sure.
Yeah, which, again, going back to YL, if they plan on playing similarly to what they just did here on every single map, that's going to make them very predictable, and teams are going to start adjusting even their future opponents, because surely GIA and Cloud9, they're watching this match right now. They're trying to study their next opponents, and they're getting quite a bit of information here on YL. So we'll find out later on if they want to keep on playing this way, and it's going to be interesting to see again.
I mean, let's not forget what Team YL has already brought to this first game is not normal in any way, shape, or form at all. This is just solo Tyrande right now, which after the patch has gained a bit more momentum. Shadowstalk does give you some more healing, or actual healing compared to where it was at in the previous patch.
Yeah.
But still, no overflowing light. Sprint looking to just be that aggressive composition without any healing whatsoever. So as much as they did seize the early game in that first game here on Tomb of the Spider Queen, I think they're going to need to seize it even more to just try and run Dignitas over from the very beginning.
Yeah, Dignitas though, like, I'm so impressed, I have to say, by them, by the way they stayed patient for so long. You know, like everybody has, I think, if you've played a certain amount of games of Heroes, everybody has been in this situation where you're having a hard time because you just keep on getting killed, and then you try to learn along the way how to be a little bit more patient.
Yeah.
But it takes so much discipline. Not even just patience in itself, because patience, if you think about it, is kind of discipline in this game. Being able to say, I don't want to get in there, get into a fight. I'm just going to sit back because it's the right thing to do up until a certain point. Usually you fix yourself a limit, at which point I will finally start fighting. It's so hard to do. Everybody wants to go forward. Everybody wants to fight. That's what the real fun in the game is. But sometimes it takes more than that. It takes discipline and patience to be able to hang in there and do the right thing and win the game.
Yes, it does. And that's actually something to me that coming into this particular series and this particular tournament, something that kind of flabbergasted me a little bit, which is Team Dignitas. 3 British members. Normally we're not that good at video games, so that's why we end up being commentators. But apparently they're really good at this video game, so I'm okay with that. We actually have some Brits representing here at BlizzCon. I can't believe it.
It depends on games, I think. It depends on games. But yeah, overall...
Normally we're good at FPS, I think.
Yeah.
But
overall, I guess Britain hasn't been as successful as some of the nations, some of the biggest esports nations out there. So it's cool to see some of them being really successful here on Heroes of the Storm. And even seeing, I think, both European teams here that are representing Europe at BlizzCon, seeing 2 teams that have that are so international, you know, that have so many players from different countries, I think is really cool, because as much as it was nice, you know, to have before Liquid and G2 doing really well in the European region, that we're an all Spanish-speaking team and an all Polish-speaking team, this really goes to prove that even if your teammates are not of the same nationality as you, as long as you can communicate together, then you can make it work somehow and you can have good results and go to BlizzCon.
Go to BlizzCon. As I say, not many Brits do that. Anyway, apparently we can get back into game number 1. So a huge thank you for your patience out there as we are going to begin game number 1 once again here between Team Dignitas and Team YL on Tomb of the Spider Queen. And why on earth not do we get back into those intros? To the left-hand side, we have Team Dignitas with ADRD on the... why have I forgotten his name?
It's okay, Kailas.
It's been
you're doing great. You're doing great.
ADRD going to be on Azmodan. There we go. Athero going to be on Leoric. Bakery on Uther. Snitch is on Kael'thas, and Zarmony on Johanna. And then over to the right-hand side here of Tomb of the Spider Queen, we have Team YL with DD going to be playing Jaina, Guij going to be playing Tyrande, Liang going to be playing on Zagara, SBY is on Kerrigan once again, and finally Zhao Di going to be on ETC.
And look at how slow Dignitas are playing this game. They're staying behind the wall. I think there's a good chance this time they try to play it even slower than last game, especially in the start of the game where, again, remember, they fell behind. They kept on getting caught, and they had a really, really tough time. Whereas YL, all like the previous game, I mean, there's only one thing they can do. They can't play slow themselves. They have the stun lock composition themselves. They have the Tyrande, they have the Kerrigan. They want to start pulling ahead very quickly. They're actually going to go for the bottom lane here, clearing up those minions before rotating towards the middle. It's going to be so hard for Azmodan to properly rotate between mid and wherever he chooses to go, top or bottom.
Yep, he's going to be careful, that's for sure. One thing that is also probably anticipated here, though, is that Leoric will try and keep himself a bit further back when it comes to those earlier snipes. They now know what's going on. Zarmany's already keeping good eyes in this bush just to make sure he knows where SBY is in case they were rotating for kills.
Tyrande is such an insane pick here with this composition from YL, I think, because she keeps on sending the ults as well and locates where everybody is, even before the rotations happen. And actually in this game, Dignitas, they're not playing any more shy than they did in the previous game, but they're doing a much better job at escorting this Asmodan here. There are always 3 heroes with him. They not only help him get stacks by using their wave clearing spells, they also make sure he doesn't get caught and killed.
Shouldn't be a kill there, but combo did land on Snitch. He was full health. As you could see, he was being very, very passive in that lane. He knows he would lose against Zagara if he were actually to engage her properly, and that's why he needs to be at full health whenever a Kerrigan would start roaming around.
Everybody loses against Zagara if they engage her properly. The combo misses. SBI actually hasn't missed that many. Even when he goes forward and just throws a combo by himself, he's usually gotten that off.
It's done okay for himself. Globe's going to come in, then Swing will be able to pick them off at the end as well. A nice tip if you're ever going to try and play Asmodan is that even if you don't hit them at the very last second with the Globe, you can have some AoE damage help you out in that split seconds moment, and the stacks will still count.
Another nice tip, you can't do it alone.
No, of course.
Trying to land these gloves alone is one of the worst things.
You need to recruit some people. So if you're going into quick match solo, probably not the best idea for that kind of play.
About that team play sometimes.
Oh, there's a power slide in here against Johanna at the front, and she's quite low, but the heal's going to keep her alive from Bakery. Johanna, one of the hardest members of the entire Heroes of the Storm cast to kill early on, so she gets out nice and fine.
Yeah, Theo being pretty careful here. SBOI is always looking for a kill, but I guess he knows how to be patient as well at times. You don't want to go too far. That's one of the common mistakes with Kerrigan. You're like, I need to get in there, I need to get the kills, I need to land my combo. But if you go too quick, then sometimes the opponents are going to be ready. And so far, Dignitas with a perfect defense. They're very equal here on experience, just a little bit behind, but they haven't been taken down a single time here in this game. So much better defense here in the regame that we're seeing between these two. As I say, that Dominic gets caught. He's going to be the first casualty here.
Oh, that's a nice little kill for them. And Todd, as was talking about all of that, looking at the stacks here on Asmodan, he was at like the 250-minute mark. He was already at something like 72 stacks. Now he's at 88.
Oh.
So that's pretty good here for 3 minutes.
Yeah, and we saw last game already what was happening as soon as Asmodan gets over 250, 300s. He really hurts. He doesn't tickle anymore.
And you can already see, I mean, the speed at which Leoric and Johanna are wanting to help him. Taking extra Condemn talents at level 4 instead of Laws of Hope for more survivability means it's easier to start clearing these things up before level 10, because you just have more AoE capability available to these warriors.
Yeah, SBY is, I guess, the right guy here to follow a lot, because he's going to be the one initiate.
Oop, that's going to be a kill. Leoric's going to end up falling.
He has so many gems. I guess since he's the warrior, he was forward every single time.
They can zone that out. They can zone that out. That's brilliant.
These are lost forever. Forever, Carlos.
Forever. And actually, looking at the gem total here of Dignitas, they only have around 20 available to them. Compare that to what we're seeing on Team YL's side. They have a whole lot more and looking to turn in, so they're really piling on the pressure again.
I don't think they were counting on getting their own turn in anyway. I think that Dignitas, as long as they can keep on defending, they don't die too much, they're going to be okay. Remember last game, they fell much further behind than I think what they are now.
It really seems that way. Even combos just going down will clear up those minion waves. If you caught off hero, that's nice, but not too big a deal. They know the web weavers are on the way. They want to clear these up as quickly as possible, so the web weavers can descend as close to their opponent's buildings as possible.
This is very important here to capitalize on those web weavers for Team YL. They're going to go forward, maybe try to land a few combo here. Kerrigan's always looking for those.
Yes, she is. And
ETC rejoins the action as well.
With the web weavers here, that allows a good opportunity here for combos, and that's a blow up on Johanna. She very rarely gets taken down that quickly. So one already extra. 3 kills in total means that it's very, very similar to last game, Todd.
Yeah, Athero barely dodging that combo here very nicely, using the race wall. And one level ahead here already. YL, they've put in some good work here after Dignitas' initial defense here in this game was pretty close to perfect. I mean, they didn't die for the longest of times.
And they're just going to continue rotating around to these locations, looking to maybe get a globe on that front wave. will be able to pick themselves a few more stacks. 147 at the moment here, or 146 I should say. Extra bonus damage at the approaching 6-minute mark now. So those globes will start to hurt pretty quickly. This is actually quite the attack here though by Team Dignitas. They came in for an aggressive stance there.
Yeah.
I'm going to pursue.
Dignitas are going to have to be careful here because level 10 is going to be achieved much faster here by Team YL. And gem-wise, actually, both teams are doing a pretty good job of collecting what they can. Dignitas, they're about 40, but again, going for a turn-in would mean they're exposed to fighting, or they would have to fight, basically.
Look at him, the rock god himself. Oh, such presence.
Come at me, bro. That's what these arms spread out mean.
What a guy. I love the Master Skin on ETC. It's fantastic. I wish I had it. But for now, Dignitas here, they're going up against level 10. It's Mosh Pit, Devouring Maw, Summon Water Elemental, Maelstrom, and Shadowstalk. So exactly the same as last game here. Just looking to get those early kills once again.
Yeah, I actually think that Ring of Frost could have been good here to get some good engage. You know, ETC and Kerrigan go in furiously, and then Ring of Frost is used. You also have Tyrande that's using our stun and getting up close, doing a lot of damage. So Water Elemental, I guess they want to make sure that they can chase properly if Dignitas ever was to overextend, which last game didn't happen.
Look where ATC's going. He's right in the back here for this. He's going to look to try and do something towards Athero. He's been pushed far. He does have Wraithwalk available to him, so he will be able to use that to get out of there. But at the same time, Kerrigan comes in with the Maelstroms from the second flank. Beautiful little move here. No Wraithwalk. That Maw doesn't block Athero in. Jumps across the wall. This could be disastrous here for SBY. Bakery on the other side, not dead just yet. They don't have level 10. No Divine Shield, and even not being able to keep him up. But Kerrigan goes down because she was behind the wall, and that's going to be a turnaround 2 for 1. Mosh Pit goes down, but they've got to retreat on out. ETC does not want to die here. What a fight coming out of both teams.
A massive overextension. They had a heroics and Dignitas didn't, but YL went too deep, especially that Kerrigan. I mean, ETC, he landed a nice Mosh Pit, but everybody was already dead. There was no damage dealer out there to really help, and this might allow Dignitas here to go for a full turning themselves.
I don't think they need to be this aggressive. I don't think they need to be out on the map. Kael'thas is going to end up falling. They've gone a bit too far. They're really not respecting the early power of this composition from Team YL.
They got overconfident here, Dignitas.
Yeah.
They're rushed in to try and get the turn in, not even having necessarily that many hit points on mana, and they get sniped here because of this.
With their composition, with Team Dignitas' composition, you take that as a gift, you sit back and you play exactly how you were playing last game. You don't do something like that where you just lose a Kael'thas, because still, even if it's like a 3-on-4 situation, a 2-on-4 situation, their opponent's team is still far more strong in that aggressive stance.
It seemed like that really broke the rhythm as well of the building up of the stacks here of Asmodan. Even though he's on 214, it seemed like it's really slowed down in the last minutes when they were fighting a lot. So
that was a really interesting fight. Not often you actually get to see things like that. Team YL, though, I can see what they're doing. They're trying to compensate for the fact that the previous game got as far as it did, and they wanted to take like big damage early on. So that's why we were seeing SBY going so deep in a more unusual situation.
And Team YL here, they're going for the full turn in. Oh, actually, no, they didn't. Jaina pulled back. She was going to get it. Oh, they wanted to depush a little bit first. Again, one of the situations where they know that they're going to be getting level 13 in a second here, no matter what, and be ahead on talent. So Jaina is not going to go for it. I don't think there's anybody to interrupt nearby.
Another turn in here, coming out for Team YL. How are they doing in terms of force? They've just got to pressure the one up towards the top. They're going to be in a similar situation to how they were last game. But it's all about breaching that keep wall. That's all important.
There we go with more stacks. We're almost at minute 10 here, and it's 246 stacks.
Still a lot of damage coming out here. Not the fastest, not the slowest, and that's a pullback on towards ETC. They're racking up a lot of damage, and gotta remember, still not that much healing on the other side. Tyranda's actually changed up from last game. Overflowing Light, realizing that they need the healing here. So Devouring Maw, gonna go down. A lot of AoE damage. Here comes Kerrigan as well into the fray of things, but Divine Shield's already been popped here on towards the Heroics going down, but for the price of ETC, Tyrande falls. Likewise does Johanna, and it looks like Team YL is going to have to retreat out. They took too much damage.
Is there a globe coming in?
It looks like it on the globe. Oh.
She pulled back just on time. She saw it coming.
Yeah, she's been kept track of there by Athero.
Oh
really good stuff by the Wraith.
So close. ADRD is going to keep on building up these numbers here. 266 stacks on his globe of annihilation now.
Oh, he's got to be so careful against an Asmodan comp for those kind of like late game, late pickoffs in the team fight like that. Especially where, again, they just...
I mean, for quite a bit, and I mean, stats-wise, 286 is a very decent number at the 11th minute.
These fights should still comp to comp should still be going in favor of Team YL, but it's trades at the moment, which are the scary thing. Iron Skin popped, so Lunar Flare is not going to be able to hit Zami. He doesn't have it available to him. They're still going to chase on. There's Blessed Shield to slow them down for as long as possible. They're still going on towards Zamini here, though, and looking for that straightforward extra jump. As SBY, look how low he is. He can't continue on.
Yeah, he needs to be careful. Oof. That globe's gonna do big damage, and now Dignitas is on the chase here, but they don't have that much lockdown, I think, to snipe anybody.
Oh, that's
yeah, Shrink Ray is cute, but he's just gonna power slide out of there.
Yeah. All right, well, that could have gone all the worse here if Team YL had committed more. And now Team Dignitas have gathered earlier momentum than they did in the previous game, which is scary here for Team YL.
ADRD was almost taunting the Kerrigan here.
DD's moving for the flank. They're not expecting him to be around there.
Oh, Snitch was so close.
He actually popped Watermelon pretty early on, and that's going to try and turn his attention towards the Warriors at the front here. Let's try and do some damage as quickly as possible towards them. Now, Divine Shield's already been thrown down there on towards Atheroid to make sure he's alive after that Wraith Walk.
Yeah, not even going to wait for Kerrigan to jump in there here. Luther making sure he saves his friend Lyric. You don't want to have a hero die at this stage in the game.
They know all they have to do is survive. All you have to do is survive. Just keep going, survive, 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 and make sure that they're not going to be able to do too much damage towards those keeps. 310 extra damage currently massing up here on the Globe of Annihilation.
It seems like Dignitas is aware that YL pulled back here for a second, and since they're not ahead by one talent, they went for their own turn-in. That's going to allow them here to catch up in experience quite nicely here, unless they get caught now and killed, which I don't think they will let happen.
As long as they stick as a 5 and make sure that there isn't going to be crazy flanks hitting them, they should be all right. But level 16 is approaching.
So usual hero league calling this group.
Then, as you like, if I look at the experience, as I said, you know, level 16 is approaching. I'm not sure they really want to take any fights direct here with that level 16 about to hit. Unless they hit things with globes first, that'll help.
That will do the job. Yeah, Shadowstalk is one way to try and get a good engagement here from YL every single time, but I think Dignitas reads so well into it that every single time that was used, they pulled back before any kind of engagement properly happens. They need to be careful though. Level 14 against 16.
Yep.
They were quite far on the map. Right now, Dignitas pulling back. We can see on the minimap, trying to play it safe. ETC is very far forward. Okay, he's just spotting here.
Patient as always, Team Dignitas with this composition, back on out. And I'm surprised they even got a turn in that early in this game, considering. So that was good for them, and a little consolation prize is nice, because if they can get rid of some of their gems, the later fights here coming up, which are going to happen, are less risky for them because of the potential that they don't lose as many gems.
Yeah. And with 344 bonus damage here already on Asmodan, he's going to keep on building that. What am I saying? He's even at 348 here already with another Globe of Annihilation. And Team YL, they realize, they identify here that not much is happening. The stacks just keep on building on Asmodan. So they go for the boss, but this time it looks like Dignitas might be trying to deny that. Oh, the Globe doesn't land on anybody.
That was a great dodge on it. Shadowstalk, they're going to try and get on out of there. They don't want to go for it. But Team Dignitas read the situation well. Oh, they're going pretty far there, though.
They might be forced to fight.
Kerrigan towards the back. She's in a great position here to land some damage down as quickly as possible. And ADRD is in a lot of trouble here, as Uther is going to be able to keep him alive. So much health here on ADRD means that he's so tanky.
Nobody can interrupt the mosh pit.
And going to take a lot of damage to Uther. Already using his Divine Shield on towards Kale Pass to try and get him away, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to end up falling. This is a great engagement here from Team YL in this game to try and really seize the initiative. And the Web Weavers are descending behind this, so 3-0 trade there. Brilliant move here by Team YL.
Yeah, Asmodan getting caught the way he did here really put them in trouble. That hero is going to go down as well. Zaman is going to maybe pick up the gems here. He's almost got enough for a full turn-in, but with the Web Weavers already being out on the map, he's not going to be able to try and sneak across the map to get it anyway. And now YL, they go for the keep. Yeah. There's quite a few timers. They might go for the core.
They might do, yeah. I mean, they pop Shadowstalk at a moment where they want it back as quickly as possible. They want to try and heal up and keep going. And they're going to go for keep. They know the core. They know that they really can't sustain later on in these team fights, so they're just going to try and deal with it now. Zamni slowing them down for as long as possible. Snitch is back on up thanks to the fact that he died early on pretty fast in those games. So Zagara is out of the picture for now. 50% on the core at the moment. They bring down Tyrande. They bring down Jaina. Are they going to be able to kill enough left? There's only 25% left on the core here as the Web Weaver's still doing damage. They clean up everybody with Zagara gone. I can't believe the save here from Team Dignitas.
Yeah, Zagara somehow makes it out of there. And now with the core on 23%, Dignitas, they've survived, but they're still going to be in quite a bit of danger down the line against any kind of backdoor, any kind of attack. I mean, Team YL, they haven't lost a single fort here in this game. It's nice to hold, it's nice to stay alive and win a fight, but this is far from over here.
Yeah, there's so much backdoor potential now, so much. Team Dignitas is going to have to play a flawless game from here on out. And the problem is that they still don't have an experience advantage. So once level 20 hits comes again here for Team YL, they could actually, I think, just backdoor without care and win.
It'd be really hard for Dignitas to properly hold if that were to happen. They'd have to start the fight as they see the opponent starting to do this, but you can't even know. And remember, there is Shadowstalk available to even sneak across the map. That'd be crazy if they sneak past their opponents with Shadowstalk. Yeah, they're going to try that, I think.
Where are they moving right now? They're going towards mid lane here. This is now very, very tense. Yes, boss has been taken for Dignitas. They're going to have to keep such good eyes on their opponents.
Dignitas, they are too smart not to expect it. So let's see how properly they prepare for any kind of sneaky move here by Team YL.
This is a really, really scary situation here for them, as we have 406. There they go. They're already moving towards it. They're going to be able to get this backdoor so easily. Shadowstalk's been popped. They're just going to move on in and get this for themselves. That's a brilliant move. Zagara's already fallen, but that was a ruse as they go on towards the core. That was a decoy.
She was just slowing them down.
That is a brilliant little move there by them, and that is going to be game number 1 with the mosh pit thrown down as well for good measure. Denied, but Team Dignitas falls here in game number 1. That is YL taking the first one here on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Wow, Team YL really capitalized here on the mistake of the one mistake of Asmodan. I mean, you can make no mistake for as long as you want. As soon as you make it, finally, the opponents, if they capitalize on it, in this case, they caught him out of position. They got a great engagement. The mosh pit, even though they didn't do that much damage with it, it isolated 2 heroes from the rest of the fight for a very long time. There was no interrupt available. And I mean, you theorize how that mosh pit really could come into play, and that's what happened there. A big fight win from Team YL. And when you bring your opponent's core down to 24%, and you haven't lost a fort, usually you're doing something right, even though you've been held.
Oh, well, that does it for our game number 1. Of course, we're back with Gilly here. Are there any moments in that game that really kind of stood out to you going into that one?
Well, of course, it's going to be the moment that Todd mentioned, which is just a fantastic fight for them, even though they ended up not taking down the core from there. It was so close that they were able to just move in and take it out once they were all up. So let's take a look at that fight again through the Windows 10 game DVR replay. So I'm going to... Yes, we're moving in here, and SPI is up there, and they're starting to move in, but right there is the mosh pit that you talked about. They're actually going to use a Devouring Maw right here as well. To be able to just zone. They had so much zoning potential. So even though the fact that we talked about the solo support of Tyrande, even though it's not a lot of support, they had so much zoning potential between the mosh pit and the Devouring Maw that they were able to still make fights work as long as everything worked at that. And that was such a long mosh pit. On top of that too, Kael'thas took so much damage that even though Divine Shield initially got him out, it wasn't enough. Even the movement speed buff from that wasn't enough to be able to save him from there. And then we were even going to see, I think Leoric will fall too. He gets hit by a huge blizzard there, and then the Numbing Blast too from DD.
Actually, even looking at the replay, I think this was now or never for Team YL, because they were level 17 against 15, and as soon as Team Dignitas would have equalized these talents, they would have been completely back in it. That damage was very soon to be too much for them to handle as well.
Absolutely.
They had to win it now or never, and it was now. They made it happen somehow.
It was interesting. I mean, even how that fight began for me was very interesting. It was almost as if Team Dignitas had been lured into a false sense of security after they gained a bit more momentum compared to the first iteration of that game with some of those fights. So they went over to boss. They tried to poke around a little bit, but then Team YL still had that strength available to them with that kind of flank turnaround. It was really, really cool to watch.
Yeah, it was really cool too that they used the Shadowstalk when they came out of it too. So Team Dignitas weren't quite knowing what they were going to do. Were they going to come in for the fight? Were they just using Shadowstalk so that they couldn't tell the positioning around the boss? So Team Dignitas had to go in to check that out, and in that amount of time they were able to rotate down. Kerrigan came in, and from there was they were able to take the fight.
Yes, Zagar actually kind of suicided as a decoy. I'm pretty sure she used Maw as well to isolate 2 people for as long as possible.
Oh, at the very end.
And then died, while the rest of the team was going for the core. I mean, they knew that in no time they were going to be able to take the core out anyway, so Zagar stayed at the top. And usually when you see one hero up there, also, that's like very misleading. You see one hero up there, you're like, everybody else is there, right? They're behind the wall. They're going to be very close to be able to fight and help her. But no, she was just a decoy.
Aggressive killer instinct here from our Chinese team, taking the first game here between Team Dignitas and Team YL. Before we get into game number 2, let's hear from Team YL about their strengths coming into the World Championship.
们队伍以往的风格是非常喜欢进攻，所以我们感觉我们和国外的一些队伍的话，最大的差距就是我们永远不会放过任何一个可以进攻的机会，从而达到我们想要的目的。
每天要打15局以上的游戏，
比较信任对方吧。就算就是平时有些小吵小闹的话，当走出了这个训练门，大家都是还是一样，就是好兄弟。
Terra Marines are the toughest frag magnets in the galaxy. But when they're in trouble, guess who they call? Winning a battle is more than just shooting enemy soldiers. It's about saving your own. I protect every member of my squad with my life. Sometimes I think I'm the only thing holding them together. Who am I? I'm Lieutenant Morales. I'm your medic. I'm gonna need a lot of bandages.
Let's end this thing once and for all.
StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void. Pre-purchase now at StarCraft.com.
Welcome back to the Heroes of the Storm World Championship for the opening week here, as we will be getting into game number 2 between Team Dignitas and Team YL. And one thing's for sure, Gilly, after that process that we had going on there, Team YL certainly didn't disappoint when it came to aggression.
You know, I was a little worried for YL at first when we first started that new game, because you saw like Kerrigan was missing some combos. I was really worried for them that they were kind of thrown off. They were maybe worried that Team Dignitas had had time to see their strategy and what they were going to be trying to do with kind of the unique draft that they had. But at some point, they really just started to pull it together. They calmed down. Maybe somebody was given a pep talk in comms. I don't know, but they were able to take it, and I did not expect it to happen at first.
I wonder what that pep talk would have been like. It's like, all right, guys. We pick stunners, we're not stunning anybody. Let's get to work, go, 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 go.
I was about to say, you speak a bit of Chinese, so maybe you could have helped us out, but no, probably not as much that fluently.
Yeah.
As getting into game at number 2 here from Team Dignitas and Team YL, those kinds of strategies, especially what we saw from Team Dignitas, at the moment in the current state of the meta, it's a very, very map-specific thing, really. You don't see too much Azmodan on a wide variety of other maps, just because the lanes are just so far away from each other on other maps.
Yeah, you really need the battlegrounds where they can rotate through the lanes, like you mentioned, very, very quickly. If anything, I guess maybe Dragonshire would be the other thing that sometimes we see it on, but really you need to have a couple of different ones to build those stacks as fast as possible. And they had all the tools with that, right? They had the Leorc, they did have the Johanna as well. They played patiently, just like you guys were talking about. So they did, you know, so many things right. It just came down to a couple of really key fights.
And I think in the end, Todd, looking throughout those games here, to me, in that second game, it's as if Team Dignitas' patience did run out a little bit, but because they were just feeling that spark of confidence, they're like, hey, we've got a few more kills than we normally do. That's maybe we can do something with that.
A little bit of miscommunication as well, I think, at the end, because if you think about it, if they had kept on running Dignitas, they would have lost a lot less heroes and maybe not have their core threatened like it was. Whereas now it's almost as if they turned around and they were like, we have to fight. Even though we're in one talent that we have to fight, which I don't think they had to. Even if it's better to run and lose, say, 2 heroes instead of 4, than fight, lose 4 heroes. I mean, you can't know that you're going to lose the fight this hard, but usually you might be able to anticipate it anyway because you're behind in talent in this case and even level. So yeah, just a little bit of a miscall, maybe miscommunication, and they're going to want to look to try and stay focused and do better in the next battleground.
Yeah, I think so. We're just waiting on exactly which battleground that is going to be here for these two teams, as well as the draft. But it's going to certainly be interesting to see, once again, how these two regions match up with one another. Because one thing's for sure is that as much as Dignitas can be aggressive themselves, they went for a very patient style there against China that went for the very aggressive one. So already a huge, huge clash there. If we see some more kind of standard compositions coming out from these two teams, it could potentially be anybody's game, really, Gilly.
Yeah, I mean, it was very close. Both of the times that we saw it was very close, very back and forth, and really playing to the compositions that they had as well. I expected a ton of aggression right out the gates from YL, but knowing that they had that solo support of Tyrande, we didn't see them quite be as aggressive as you might have seen. Like, we have to stop these rotations now from Team Dignitas. You know, they played it still pretty patiently for having such a very early game.
Yes.
Stunning. We have to get pick composition that they had.
All right, well, soon, actually right now, we are going to be going to a short break, but stay tuned because when we are back, it could be the potential conclusion here of Team Dignitas going up against Team YL.
One damage away from victory, they bring in Matter Bomber to seal the deal.
Now this guy... 5 for 5, though.
Hearthstone, play it free. Rated T.
The grand return of Annoyatron, and Bob, I wish it would end right now.
So this guy doesn't have a sword or anything? He's just, like, annoying?
Like looking in a mirror, isn't it, Bob?
Oh, this doesn't look good.
Like you in a mirror?
That's Hearthstone.
Play it free.
Rated T.
The swarm brought ruin to our world. Our proud people became refugees. And yet, they could not shatter our unity. For we are bound by the Kala, the sacred union of our every thought and emotion. Today, we retake our homeworld, and with it, our legacy.
Game 2 coming up here for the Heroes of the Storm World Championship opening week between Team Dignitas and, of course, Team YL. Will Europe's hopes burn down here in our second game? We're about to find out, as in the moment we're about to go into the draft here for game number 2 to figure out what they're going to be picking and how they're going to approach the ever-aggressive Team YL. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, Team Dignitas needs to start reacting better here to the style of their Chinese opponents, because otherwise I think the Chinese team here is going to be doing the same thing to them as these Zealots were about to do to this Zerg army in the...
Slicing and dicing, man.
The Legacy of the Void trailer.
Well, let's slice and dice our way over to the draft now for game number 2, as we have Infernal Shrines will be our map. And oh boy, what a map to start things on. We already see Abatha going away here for Team YL.
Well, this is interesting. So it looks like it was Dignitas' choice of Battleground that we move into the Infernal Shrines. We're going to be looking for heroes who can clear the shrines as quickly as possible as well. So lots of area damage. But then also, you know, it takes a while to rotate to the lanes. You're going to want somebody who can provide lanes pressure, clear the waves as much as possible, and then even pick up the mercenary camps quickly too.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen what YL likes to play. You know, they like to take a lot of stun and lockdown together. So a great way for Dignitas to play against them, I was going to say, is to ban some of those heroes and pick the rest. But they banned Jaina instead, one of the stronger damage dealers out there. Maybe they were afraid that Team YL was going to first pick it and be really good with it.
So Team YL has Didi, who plays Jaina so phenomenally. In fact, a lot of the training for BlizzCon series that we watched was either Jaina or Vala all the time for Team YL. So that's definitely a big targeted ban. But like you mentioned, it does offer up Uther and a silver platter to YL, and they definitely take it.
And on the other side for Team Dignitas, they're going to pick up KO Fast, which is kind of like the counterpart to Jaina in the end of how much damage they're really able to dish out. Following that with the Muradin here, Todd.
It's great because it doesn't allow Team YL to pick it. That's one stunner that's going to go Dignitas' way. But then now Team YL, do they go for that Tyrande, which they love so much and do so well with? I feel like this is almost a sure thing if they want to play similarly, which again wouldn't surprise me. But to be honest, if they play this style, they're again going to rely on a composition that needs to get kills and is not maybe going to be as good at winning those fights, clearing those shrines and getting those important snipes.
Yeah, it seems to me that there are two different styles when it comes to the shrines. You either pick a team who is able to just dish out tons and tons of AoE damage safely and pick up the shrines that way, or there's the type that goes for picks and tries to clear out the enemy team and then goes and maybe more slowly clears out the shrines. But I mentioned that DD likes to play either Jaina or Vala. Jaina's banned, Vala picked up early.
Wow, Lost Vikings gets banned here from Team YL. We haven't seen Team Dignitas run Vikings for a long time. But regardless, they apparently just don't want to deal with the split lane soaking potential that is super powerful. I mean, hence the Abatha ban as well. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and Sonya on the other side also being banned from Dignitas, making sure that, you know, Sonya with Uther can be a very scary prospect. There's quite a few heroes that can combo very well with Uther, but now Dignitas, actually with the Uther already being picked, this almost ensures that we might see Karazim come out, as they do love their Karazim, with Bakery being one of the best ones.
Oh yes, and there is Kerrigan coming out for Team Dignitas, so it's a bit more of an aggressive comp on their side this time around.
Yeah, they're saying, you had the Kerrigan last time, but we're going to show you how it's done, and we're going to take this to Game 3, picking up that Kerrigan. And I'm wondering if we'll see the Karazim here, leaving like a flex pick depending on what YL gets out. Nope, they want to have their choice of the Warriors completely, and I love that choice there, grabbing a Tyrael too, so they have a lot of engage.
Yeah, Arthur O loves himself his Tyrael as well. It's one of his favorite heroes to play.
Could we see Sanctification come out here on a map like this, where you have to get on top of those shrines and fight a lot? I think there's a good chance here.
I think there's an amazing chance here, considering you know how this Team Dignitas has been kind of shaping up in practice a lot. Europe has had those kinds of things, and Team YL already going over to ETC again.
They love their ETC. Dignitas, imagine actually if they pick Karazim as well, by the way. 3 melee heroes to go with it, so it's going to be healing pretty much everybody and keeping everybody alive. Tyrande finally comes out here with an ETC and Uther to combo with together really well. It seems a little bit out of place, no?
The Tyrande?
Yeah, as a last pick like this.
You know what?
I thought they only played Tyrande as single hitter.
Oh, the only.
Sorry guys, I just want to interject. I know that Team Dignitas normally goes for Karazim here, but I even wouldn't mind them going for Brightwing. Like, as much as he's so well known for, well, whatever. Never mind. I may as well not theorize anything.
I understand with the polymorph, with the mosh pit.
Like that, and also just to help out Kerrigan later on during things. But, you know, Karazim is still just kind of like a very good go-to for them. And I suppose with it all clumped up, as you mentioned, you know, Karazim as a healer, very powerful in that regard.
Dignitas, they can burst down ETC very easily this game. I guess there's going to be the Divine Shield, though, that plays in Team YL's favor. So we'll see if they try something crazy, like a well-timed Divine Shield into a mosh pit to try and catch 3 or 4 heroes here of Team Dignitas.
That would be pretty sick.
That'd be the dream.
One thing to also note here about Infernal Shrines is that from patch to patch, there has been slight differences here. Whenever a shrine does actually pop, it previously used to be 30 minions to actually hold onto that shrine and gain yourself a Punisher. Now it's 40. So Wave Clear has taken a bit more of a back burner compared to where it was before. You can kind of turn things around on those shrines a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but the abilities that deal extra damage to minions and mercenaries no longer applies to those skeletal defenders. So things like where people were picking up either a Leoric or a Johanna, which, by the way, their wave clear was also brought down slightly, but it definitely takes a lot longer. And those shrines, especially the earlier ones, those fights can be very volatile, very back and forth, even with takedowns coming back in and being able to secure the shrine.
Yeah, great point. This actually could be why Leoric was completely ignored here. Neither band picked in this draft.
Before we get into game number 2 here between these two teams, of course, let's check in on how you guys think things are going here between these two teams. And right now, 60 to 40%. And of course, you can continue to actually join in on Twitter as long as you @esportsheroes as well as #HeroesWC, and make sure to include the hashtag for which team you think is going to win. So there are a lot of you out there. We're predicting the Dignitas we're going to do well. So far, it's not quite going your way. The Brits aren't really kind of so, you know, hopefully they do a little bit better going forward. No Brit bias at all, because we never see them in BlizzCon. But for now, guys, we can go into game number 2 here. Thank you very much for joining us, Gilly. And we'll see you after the match as we get into Infernal Shrines. To the left-hand side, it is Team Dignitas with ADRD on Kale Fass. Athero will be on Tyrael. Bakery on Karazim. Snitch is going to be on Kerrigan. And finally, Zarmony will be on Muradin. Then to the right-hand side here, one game up. It is DD going to be playing Valor. Will be Tyrande being played by Guij. Liang is going to be playing himself the Uther. SPY will be on Johanna. And finally, Zhao Di on the ETC, just like before, Todd.
Yeah, it seems like Team YL here, they want to immediately, I guess, get into a fight if they get the opportunity. But Uther's actually split away from the rest of the team. Dignitas, they know how much Team YL loves to fight, so they're going to be the ones that are careful with the classic 5 heroes in middle of the map, clear minion wave, and then start splitting.
I really hope that we see from DD on the Valor as well the very, very long-range build that you can see sometimes in the current meta. Composite arrows going up towards puncturing as well. It really feels like these teams are very, very well-versed here. The Chinese teams are very well-versed at good positioning, good power forwards through, and that's one of the builds that really gives her a lot of kill potential in the current meta, especially since they don't really have that much outside of Valor, unless Tyrande gets themselves a good Hunter's Mark and they follow things up.
Yeah, I don't think that talent-wise here we have too many surprises.
The thing is that if we do see Valor going down the full multi-shot build, they're going to be playing this game very, very slowly. So it will be interesting to see if that comes to fruition. And on the other side, when it comes to Athero on Tyrael, I've had many conversations with him about this hero because it's one of my favorites. Just like Gilly's, he has some crazy talent choices sometimes. So it'll be interesting to see how his build develops in this one.
Prepare yourselves for the slaughter.
Shody with the power slide, he's never shy. He always knows when the rest of his team is close enough that it's going to be an impactful one, and always goes for it on the right time. And already we see Team YL with a little bit of an experienced lead. They immediately activate that shrine.
They were in great positioning for this as well. Wouldn't be surprised if we see full condemn build coming out of Johanna. I mean, even though, yes, it has been a little bit nerfed, it's still very, very strong.
Oh, DD.
Slam from Zarmony, trying to attempt this for Stormbolt, and
he's buying so much time for the rest of his team to get so many of these minions already secured, and he's going to buy even more here.
That was a lot of people neglecting that top position. So DD, yes, he knows he's dead, but at the same time, you're right, he brought so much time.
Yeah, he brought Kerrigan so far here. He's actually almost going to get here faster than her by just resurrecting and running to the middle of the map.
That's so crazy. And this fight's going to go down for quite a little bit longer, although Athero blinks on Eldraune's Might's on forwards there. Zhao Di taking some damage towards the front. Power slides on through them aggressively in an unexpected turn there, and manages to get out with that kind of move. That was beautiful by Zhao Di.
Yeah, SBY is going to get caught here and snipe. It's Xiao, by the way. It means little.
Oh man, I'm really, really bad at pronouncing the Chinese names. I'm so sorry. Xiao?
Xiao.
Xiao?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's funny actually because E-Star, they're named Xiao T, and this guy's Xiao D.
Yeah, I remember.
How many letters are there?
Well, one thing's for sure is that you can already see there is a little bit of a change up into how things would normally go on in Infernal Shrines. That's a lot of damage they're going down on towards ETC. The man getting some murdered. He tosses out. They get themselves ETC. And that is a good little turnaround for them considering things were going on. And also almost a full level lead here for them whilst they were soaking at the beginning of all of these being taken.
Yeah, that's definitely a great change of scenery here of Team Dignitas. They finally are playing with the lead here early on in the game.
Very strong lead as well. This early on, 3 minutes, a full level lead, and they may end up being able to claim the entire shrine. Yes, sometimes because of the objective, because you respawn really quickly into the fight, you can try and kind of deal with this as quickly as possible. DD on the left-hand side, just trying to poke in with as much AoE damage as possible, but he gets a combination on towards him. That's going to be him falling as Valor goes down, and also Zamani ends up dying off as well.
That's the first takedown here for Team YL. They are trying to catch up. They're still 1 level behind. SBY is gonna go down.
What a bloodbath.
They're committing way too much. They were only 8 minions away here from securing the first Punisher, but I think this one might go to Dignitas.
There's enough left up. I think, actually, considering the positioning,
time.
They can still take this here.
7 away here.
Yeah, it's been quite the brawl over this.
They just give it up here, Dignitas. They're happy with the experience lead that they've got, so they're gonna let that first Punisher here go to Team YL, who are wasting time. Actually, instead of soaking, there were so many heroes there waiting for a fight when Dignitas had already given it up. So now that's one whole level lead. And that first Punisher, to be honest, you can just bait it to jump across the wall. It's going to go down so fast.
Look at their positioning already on the side of that wall. They're anticipating it coming over the wall so they can actually deal with that. Also, the Mortar Punisher, not that big kind of zoning tool against something like an Arcane or Frozen Punisher. So Dignitas got off on a good position here, considering which Punisher it was.
Yeah, they got away very easily here from this one, not taking too much damage. There was a nice little bit of catch-up here that happened experience-wise. Actually, I think that's just because the waves were pushed really far at first. Team YL, they are trying to catch up here.
And almost a full level lead still. And looking at Tyriel's build, it is a very conventional, kind of old school almost, kind of tanky build with the amplified healing, battle momentum coming in so that you can just use Eldarune's Might, get himself in better position throughout the fight. And even Smite is something that really aids your team in those team fights because it speeds up anybody that walks over it.
Xiao D is always so eager to get in.
Yes, he is, and he might pay for that. That was a lot of AoE damage already being done to him. And also, he's being blocked in completely there because Bakery and Athero were on the other side with the Eldarune's Might, with the Radiant Dash.
That was 5 heroes in that position for Dignitas. It's almost as if they know that they need to move around all together because these engagements are going to keep on happening otherwise. Uther was missing for Team YL. They lose ETC because of it, pretty much instantly.
And they can't be going for those kinds of ambushes when there is so much block potential. You can't. The thing is that ETC using Power Slide aggressively against this comp, I think,
they're moving.
Come back to bite him sometimes.
They're moving as 4 here towards the top side of the map. They get spotted by the All. They're going to turn around here, knowing that they could be in danger if they overextended.
An attempt at checking the hard camp, or trying to steal it away.
Being so close to level 10, I think Dignitas, they can just soak that, make sure they get it before the shrines. I guess he's in full effect and the opponents are getting very close to getting a Punisher, and then make sure that they secure that for themselves. And if Team YL overextends, if they fight a little bit too early when the opponents already have Heroic, it's gonna go really bad for them.
Frozen Punisher this time, level 10 about to hit for Team Dignitas. As we'll see Team YL just trying to slow things down. I mean, even taking this camp towards the bottom does slow down Dignitas' impeding position, because obviously they're just going to be able to clean this up without any hindrance whatsoever. And it's up to Team YL to really get the experience where they can.
Yeah, that level 10 cannot come soon enough here for them. I think Uther is going to have to be the one soaking in at the top.
Looking at level 10 talents, it will be Phoenix, Maelstrom, Divine Palm, Avatar, and finally Sanctification comes out here for Tyriel. So been a lot of player using this, especially with Kerrigan. And if you can't kill a Kerrigan mid-brawl, mid-fight, and she's dishing out so much damage, then Sanct is really going to ruin your day.
They could have done 7-sided strike actually, but I guess Bakery is so good with the Divine Form that he wants to show off anyway.
Oh, the combo on towards Johanna. I think she was trying to bait the jump over, but it wasn't enough. Oh dear me, that really went right here for Team YL. Look at the Heroic being popped here for Valor to try and slow down this.
Using the Strive very early to try and do as much damage as possible here on the Punisher, but Dignitas are getting right in there, and with already one takedown, they might be trying to get a good engagement here.
And still the frozen potential there, actually rooting ETC on in. If you get rooted and snitches around to actually land a good combo, you've got to be very, very careful. That's why some compositions work better with certain punishers, and any extra lockdown you get with someone like Kerrigan is great.
Look at this guy. He's punching the hell out of the Tyrande, but he's gonna go down here eventually.
I think some people call him John Cena, but let's not go there.
Please.
No, I don't want to.
Yeah, Dignitas, I really like that they didn't overextend at the bottom. They're just going to be pulling back, most likely soaking across multiple lanes, going for camps as well, trying to extend their lead even more here. Fighting with one talent up is always what you're trying to achieve, and now they're very close to that level 13.
Yeah, we didn't really brief over the level 10s coming out here for Team Wild. It will be Strafe, Mosh Pit, Divine Shield, Bless Shield, and finally Shadowstalk once again. So Shadowstalk and Tyrande coupled up with an Uther. It's a lot of extra healing, actually. Very, very good sustain later on in these games. I'm still just worried about how much damage they're going to have.
A stealth ETC launches Mosh Pit next to you.
Yeah.
That's not the dream, that's the nightmare.
Wait, Brightwing's not here. Anyway, so Team Dignitas going to try and go in for a good attack here. That was a very weird combo position there from Snitch, but it's level 13 against 11. They're going to try and disengage out here with the Shadowstalk, but I think, good Divine Shield. We'll be able to save him from the Maelstrom, and Dignitas is going to have to back off.
How did nobody die here?
I'm not sure. I think the combo didn't really hit for Snitch, that's one thing.
SBY. A little bit overeager here, goes forward. The stun is going to land here from Tyrande.
And here comes Murder once again. Avatar has been completely used. There's a big heal on towards SPY there from Uther, but still the Stormbolt won't really do too much. Good positioning from SPY, who has adapted to role change really well. He was playing Kerrigan before, now he's playing Johanna, and positioning himself so well to tank. He's going to see, that's a lot of damage coming out towards Snitch. Went very far. That's the Mosh Pit as well. So we're able to catch a few members there. Divine Palm going on towards Kale Fast as ADRD tries to get on away here. SPY still drawing them all in. There's the power slide forward. Team Wild is running away with this fight, especially Hunter's Mark going down on towards Kale Fast. He ends up dying, and Bakery goes as well. That's a 3-for-0 trade. Brilliant moves by Team Wild.
Because they went too far here, even though they were one talent up, Dignitas gets punished. They get sniped very quickly. They all fall. And I mean, behind this, the Shrine's coming up. Team Wild, they're taking the sweet time to go for it. I think they're just gonna heal up, go home, and being equal on talents. I mean, they were able to win that last fight, one talent down. They're gonna be in a great position to, I think, try and fight and win another big fight here, potentially down the line.
The fact that the Shrine is here as well, and Johanna is the first person to arrive, it's just Team Dignitas knows that they can't really contest that too easily at all at the moment. They need to regroup, rethink their strategy, then go on over.
Didi's almost out of mana though, at bottom. If I think Dignitas went for the fight here, they'd be in great position since Vala is so far away.
Yeah, he's very far away and difficult for them to really do anything with. Vala actually based, so it's quicker for her to base and then go up there than it was to even run up towards top.
They know that getting 40 minions, like again, this is one of the changes that you talked about, takes such a long time that even if you engage your opponents when they are up at about 20, then you can win the fight and then get the Punisher yourself after winning the fight.
That's why Team Dignitas has come in a little bit later than they would have liked to at the beginning of the Shrine. But Kale Fast on the left-hand side, not really covered by Team Dignitas just yet. Zarmani does position himself better to actually make sure that's going to happen. He's got to be so careful about that. They're actually going to jump on towards Murden. That's an explosion. Despite not having much single target, every single member is focusing. So really great shot calling there from Team Wild to just blow someone up like a Murden with the kind of damage they have.
Yeah, and this might mean a Punisher here for them. I mean, they already have quite a few minions, 27 out of 40 now. Yeah, Dignitas just gives it up. They move across the map. They know that they can't get this one, and they're just going to be trying to soak and stay a little bit ahead on experience because they do have a slight lead here with this.
All right, well, punch being taken. It will be an arcane one.
Is TRL supposed to defend it alone, though?
He's going to try and bait it over the wall, I imagine.
He's actually...
Where is he going?
Yeah, he was almost out of position here for 1 second.
But anyway, the easy camp gets taken, likewise so does the second one as well, and they're not even looking to defend this front keep at the fort at the moment. They're just backing off from it. Something that's very, very scary about the Arcane Punisher is that these little Arcane Beams can spawn in some odd positions and really ruin your day because they do huge damage. Anybody who played Diablo 3 knows exactly how annoying these Arcane Beams can be.
Snitch, he wants to engage.
Great grab.
Oh, Johanna's not there. Johanna's at the bottom lane. That's going to be a 5-on-4.
That's a great Divine Shield, though, as well. And Sanctification's been popped here. Can they chase on for more here? Great Lunar Flare to try and stop any kind of extra damage going down. Team YL disengages really well.
I can't believe nobody died here as well. It looked like they were about to fight here, to make the mistake of fighting Team YL, and then Johanna screamed at them, I'm soaking at bottom, pull back. They pull back just on time. Now they're level 16 against 15. They're going to try to engage.
This move. Athero needs to use Elder Rune's Might across the wall somewhere, somehow, but all the combinations is not going to be enough for him to try and get out of it. It was stun after stun. Brilliant orchestration by Team YL.
Absolutely here. Johanna being able to soak that level 16, getting, once again, a huge takedown here in this situation, because these timers here, they're starting to be longer and longer as we progress further in the game. And hit those heroes just gain more and more levels. Having TRL gone for this long here, not going to be happy thoughts here for Team Dignitas. They have to wait for him to come back. They're still trying to soak level 16. And the only two camps available, they're on the other side of the map here. They're going to go for... They're going to go to Team YL quite easily.
They're using Shadowstalk so effectively.
Yeah.
Like, very, very rarely do you see these kinds of ambushes play out in other scenes. But
I really thought that TRL might be banned its second game, but Dignitas, Team Dignitas, they prioritize something else, and they're struggling here.
They are. It's been a bit of a burden towards them. I mean, if a Turiel with Eldarune's Might can't get away from that kind of rotation of stuns, and I'm not sure how he's going to be able to fare, or any of the members going to be able to fare. We even saw Muradin previously. Not with Shadowstalk. Uh-oh, ADRD, run for your life. He's okay.
This is really what happened, by the way, last time. With Shadowstalk, ETC was able to get close enough that he catches the heroes that matter, the ones that can interrupt him. And if he catches them in the mosh pit, then it's lights out. They are almost always going to win the fight very convincingly, so...
That's a great blast shield actually coming in here. Kael'thas is at the front. Pops, oh my god, that palm is so early! I'm not really sure it's going to be able to do too much at all. There's going to be the Arcane Barrier, though, to help him out and get him away. That could have gone very, very badly for Team Dignitas.
That allowed ADRD to pull back safely, though, because nobody even dared doing any damage to him.
And now, Team YL going to have to just back on out there next to the shrine. They have the map control around that location at least, whilst Team Dignitas is on the back foot once again here, Todd.
Yeah, those level 16 talents are going to be so important here for both teams, and being so equal on experience. It's going to be a fair fight. I mean, leading up to that next shrine here, Team YL, they have zero hesitation every single time they activate that as soon as possible. They're setting up yet another trap. Shadowstalk, maybe.
Muradin could be the phone they're going to be focusing down. Wow. Look at it once again. The blow-up potential here on towards Muradin is massive, and considering at the moment in the game he is the tankiest warrior of tanks, that's amazing.
Dignitas is falling apart here a little bit. And it's funny because that ETC, I mean, is supposed to be one of those heroes that we don't see as much anymore. It's working so well with something like a Tyrande Shadowstalk here right now. Because Bakery is scared to go forward and properly heal his teammates because he's scared of being hit by mosh pits when Muradin's in there. And then it would only come down to, I guess, Kerrigan or Kael'thas to really interrupt that, since TRL went for Sanctification. So it's just such a hard combo to deal with because they're not used to playing against it. Nobody really runs that, you know, ETC Tyrande combo all that much.
This is strong stuff here by Team YL.
Red team
really coming out of gate swinging.
Speaking
of gates, here comes our Mortar Punisher, coming out of that Hell Gate. And he'll try and push on through here towards the middle. There's only, well, technically having a fort here does help them a lot. And it's only the Mortar Punisher, but they're setting up once again.
Another trap, they love these. They use the map perfectly as well.
I wonder
always
who that
standing.
ping was.
Oh, here we go. ETC, let's keep an eye on ETC.
They knew it was coming in. They saw that with the Gravity Lapse they were able to catch Geosh, but it's not going to be enough. They grabbed themselves Kerrigan. Sanctification's been thrown down on the gate, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't in time and it wasn't in position, as this Mortar Punisher is just going to keep rampaging on.
All right, teams need to start banning Tyrande against Team YL. This is insane.
It's very, very powerful. There's the Mortar Punisher jumping forwards as well, and he got Kael'thas of all people, so taking a lot of damage there. He is... And they're going to be able to even push on towards Core. It's being tanked by the Punisher. So really, really cool stuff out here from the Chinese team.
This Punisher is quite a cheeky one here.
He's a brawler, man.
Forward, doing a lot of damage.
Oh, mosh pit! Trying to get him. Doesn't really do too much. They try and throw the Divine Palm on towards the Kael'thas here. And he's also popped his Arcane Barrier to try and keep himself alive. ETC, having walked forward, the mosh pit didn't really do too much. That's quite the overextension in the end, as they will pay for it live with ETC.
Oh, they're going to chase down. If Dignitas can really punish this, they're going to catch up here in experience. They need to get one or two more takedown, I think.
But not tanky enough by the looks of things, as she gets brought to her knees. And that will be both of the tanks going down.
And behind this Team YL, they knew they had to pull back. They're getting so much closer to level 20 than their opponents. Getting one keep was nice, but they need to be careful. They can still lose fights here down the line. And there's such a huge window here for Team Dignitas to really catch up in experience. They're going to go straight for a 40 mil the map.
They've
just steal
absolutely
the camps. They can just steal the camps, pull back, make sure they get 20 against 20, and then it's anybody's game once again.
Yeah, both of the tanks not being there is a big loss here for Team YL. And Dignitas, no stranger to actually making these kinds of comebacks. So rotating on around, getting themselves the hard camp. These camps being taken here by Team YL towards the bottom, but it's going to be the next target of the top fort. So Team Dignitas, almost level 20 now.
Actually, the Warriors have been having a really tough time this game. I think it's been them sniped most of the time. With Tyrell, Muradin getting caught a bunch of time. ETC going a little bit too far. By the way, I think it's Xiaodi on the ETC. He's pretty crazy.
He is.
A lot of the time I feel like his team's not ready to go in, but he just power slides in. He's like, let's go!
Yeah,
and they have to follow, because if an ETC goes in, you need to be behind. Level 20 against 20. This is what it's all going to come down to here, with that shrine activating at the north position. Both teams are going to regroup and make sure they're ready to fight for it.
On level 20s, we have double Blink, double Hardened Shield, and Peaceful Riposte coming out from Team Dignitas. On the other side, double Storm Shield, Redemption Blink, and also those penetrating shots in the Vengeance here from the Valor. So very interesting to see that they're going for even more defensive capability on Johanna and Tyrande to support the entire team in these big team fights.
It's so cool to see how all of the teams and the players here, they have adjusted to the map properly. Shadowstar's going to be used.
Are they going to find someone? ADRD is pretty vulnerable. There goes ETC. He's on towards him. He can still do some big damage. There goes the Lunar Flare already. ADRD taking some damage, but Bakery was on point and very quickly reacting to after that position. Snitches forwards here, going big damage on towards Valor. Divine Shield's been thrown down. And likewise, Xiao Di as the ETC. Oh, he goes in again with the Mosh Pit. Catches so many of them. And he's going to be able to do some big damage, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough at all here from as Team Dignitas are able to recover and get in a good position. Blood for blood here for DD. And he's going to fall to that bomb.
Still going to get blown up here. The engagement was too poor. Blessed Shield missed the Kaltas, and now Team YL, they're getting chased down. Gueji is going to go down as well. That's going to be a punisher here, and a big win for Team Dignitas. What do? It looks like they might just try and go across the map, break a wall, and go for the core.
They've got to get themselves a keep at first, at least. And the thing is that during all of this, I think they're trying to finish. I mean, there's 50 seconds left on at least Tyrande here, so they're just going for the finish. They don't care about that shrine towards the top. This could be Dignitas easily finishing this up here, as there's still 35 seconds on Valor, which is so important. That's the majority of their damage, Todd.
Oh, they were on the back foot. They lost map number 1, but Team Dignitas, they stayed in there. They hang in there, and in map number 2, somehow they win fights, and now they're trying to finish it here. Sanctification.
Sancts just soaking up as much damage as possible. 9 seconds on the one of the remaining members here for Team YL, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Johanna's trying to slow them down for as long as possible here with Condemn, but the core is taking big damage. And Dignitas, despite looking on the back foot before, is still going to be able to turn this around and push it to a 1-1 here in this best of 3, and that is GG going over to Team Dignitas.
Yeah, they can breathe a huge sigh of relief, because this wasn't necessarily meant to be their game here. They had to fight very hard for it, and there was a point I really thought this was going to be a 2-0 here for Team YL.
Yeah, they look really strong and on point here. Gilly's back with us. Hi, Gilly. That was quite the intense match there.
Man, you hit the nail on the head, Todd, when you said it. I really thought that it was going to be a 2-0 in favor of YL, but Dignitas stayed calm and saw exactly where to capitalize on it, and I want to talk about that moment where they finally got a breather and were able to come back into the game. So let's check out the Windows 10 game DVR replay for that. And I want to talk about here, right there, when we see Xiao Di go right back in, and they think that they've got Kael'thas. He's going to start mosh pitting. You could see him right there. I see the mosh pit come in, and he's just very far up in terms of the rest of his team members. So you can see the rest of the team is very far back here. So they're going to come in on top of the mosh pit, but Kael'thas has Arcane Barrier still up. He's going to use that. They also throw out the Palm too, and that doesn't actually go off, but he has that Arcane Barrier. There is exactly when he uses it, and at that point, it's too late. They've got the stuns. They're able to take out ETC and then chase from there. This is when Iron Skin is used, and it's used pretty early on, so with that, they know that they can continue to keep going and take out SBY here, and they're able to do that. With that, they got the 2 takedowns, and that really started to bring them back into the game. They had another fantastic team fight right after that, and that is exactly what they needed to be able to come back.
Really cool stuff there. To be able to see especially how these regions match up and see that it does go down to, in essence, the wire. I mean, these kind of small little decisions where it can just...
to a mosh pit or any kind of power slide, catching somebody, taking him down very quickly, but Xiao Di, he needs to calm down.
He goes far. Yeah, he was getting hit by core at the end there. That was pretty far. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for game number 2. Join us after this break, and you better join us because it is going to be the conclusion here of Team Dignitas going up against Team YL.
A moment for people to come together.
We are thrilled that you are here.
Hello, BlizzCon. This community is everything.
On Draenor, old rivals sought to bring Azeroth to its knees. And while the Iron Tide was quelled, they were but servants of a more ancient foe that has not forgotten our defiance. The vengeance of the Burning Shadow has come. And in our most desperate hour, we must wield the power of the enemy against them. For we stand once more upon the brink of destruction.
Bring me Kill Jaden and Archimond to Heroes of the Storm any day here as the Burning Legion is coming. As we do have, of course, game number 3 on the way here between Team Dignitas and Team YL. And overall, so far, such a back and forth series here, Gilly.
Absolutely. I am so pumped because this is the first game 3 of the day too. Hopefully many more to come as well. But I wanted to mention that while generally when they're down, they like to have their battleground choice, so I wonder what it's going to be.
That is a good point. That is a good point. Are there any kind of wilder picks that can really come out here between these two teams once it comes to kind of how they match up against one another? Because obviously they don't really know everything about one another, Todd.
Yeah, I think so, especially from YL. They are the team that loves to play so aggressively.
Yeah.
They are the team that likes to set the pace for the game, which in the previous game, as much as it was looking good at first, they ended up making some mistakes. I think overall, they don't need to do something too crazy. They can just keep on trying to play the same style that they've been playing, and tell Shouty to slow down a little bit because they can't keep up. They can't keep up.
No, he's a rocket, man. He is a Formula 1 racing car. He just does what he wants. So, actually, I can only imagine he's going to be on ETC again. I wonder if he even gets banned if they go that meta in this kind of current position to do that.
Tyrande is the one you need to prioritize a little bit more because Shadowstalk is really also what enhanced that ETC to do so much. But yeah, Shouty's a cool guy. I want to go out with him. Like he's like pushing people around, like trying to get into fights.
He does what he wants. He basically does what he wants. Gilly, is that kind of echoed from you? Do you think that something like a Tyrande ban could be very, very powerful here against a team like YL?
Yeah, you know, it's been working out really well for YL, and on top of that, especially if it's somewhere where we're going to be looking at a lot of early game pressure again from them, as that seems to be what they want to do. They want to get a lot of pressure on early on and then kind of just keep that going throughout the game.
All right, well, let's jump right on into draft number 3 here between these two teams. Team Dignitas and Team YL, 1-1 here at the moment. And oh my God, it's Haunted Mines. I didn't expect to be casting this map for a while here.
I know, right?
Yeah.
With the style they play.
Well, we are clairvoyant, guys. Congratulations, we're done. We can walk away from the desk.
With the style that they play, to be honest, it makes sense. Team YL, they're just going to want to look to win 2 fights, get 2 golem at 100, and end it quickly, and move on to face Cloud9 in the next match. That's what they want to do here. They ban Muradin themselves, actually.
I love this ban because it says to me that they want to do something like auto attack, very focused, potentially a melee assassin like Illidan.
Oh,
yes.
no. It could come out. Oh, no. Well, we might end up in that situation, that's for sure. But the thing is that Haunted Mines so popular for melee assassins, right? So even if an Illidan does that on one side, you get melee assassins on the other side that can easily compete with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the first pick of Uther, I like that Dignitas is trying to slow that down, but in my experience watching YL, that's not necessarily something that will slow them down from this strategy if that's something they really want to do. Another thing I wanted to point out is not all regions play a lot of Haunted Mines. It's much more preferred in the Asian regions than either the European or North American. So this could also be something to throw off Dignitas as well.
That's why it can be a great pick, I think. You got a really good point here. I don't think Team Dignitas have that much experience playing against against anybody on Haunted Mines all that much. It's not one of the most common maps, and Kerrigan comes into play here from Team YL.
That's a good point that you bring up. Here we go with the melee assassins already.
Yeah.
With Kerrigan coming along.
She's been really hotly contested in this draft between these two.
Yeah. It seemed like Dignitas was having none of it in the second game. They were like, oh, well, we're not letting you have that again. That was,
also, they grabbed the Jaina, they grabbed the Jaina too, and I feel like DD is far more confident on the Jaina than the Vala, but wow, Sonya is making her appearance here, I think for the first time today.
Yeah, and Sonya, a very, very powerful warrior. Now, a lot of people, yes, she is classified as a warrior, but really fulfills a big, big damage role. She's got Ancient Spear, which allows her to catch up to her opponents. Seismic Slam is the big one, and especially since last patch as well, our auto attacks don't really get interrupted by that. So if you take some really strong auto attack talents, she can dish out massive damage.
Not as tanky as some of the other warriors, but when you have a Uther on the team, you don't really mind.
Yeah, that's true. And
Divine
also,
Shield can really enhance, I guess, her completely. She can go forward, not be scared to be killed very quickly.
Whoa!
And Dignitas big ETC themselves.
All right, so they've decided not only, well, was the Kerrigan hotly contested before, but this time they're going to take this away. And I was talking to Team Dignitas before, and they're not too bothered about going for something like an ETC themselves. They are practiced with it, they are well versed with it, so that's interesting. But Tyrael gets banned. YL is expecting a huge tank comp out of them.
Yeah, I guess they really are concerned about having the strong engage that they could have from there. But, you know, Haunted Mines being what it is, I think that was the first battleground that we really started to see triple warrior compositions come into play. So that might be their concern, is if it's going to come out, they want to try to limit the warriors that they have to deal with from Team Dignitas.
And they struggled last game against Sanctification as well. I'm pretty sure that's what they do want to face here.
So old school, Kerrigan Arthas on Haunted Mines.
Best
what is
buddies.
this, 2010? This is... Okay, so it hasn't been out that long, to be fair. A few months back, but that's amazing.
And with Jaina too now, that Jaina, Kerrigan, Arthas, that's the dream team. And they have Sylvanas on top of it for Haunted Mines. I feel like YL is getting everything they want.
They know how to play the map. I think we can safely assume that it's the case here. They're going to be left with one last pick later down the line, which is going to be a healer here, almost no matter what. What great lineups here we're seeing from both teams. Now, Dignitas, they pretty much know what they're going to be facing here. They know it's going to be a healer here as last. They probably know it's likely to be, actually, I guess it's decently open, but it's for them to try and now shape their composition to try and properly counter this. And they needed some damage dealer, so I guess Galtas is going to be a good addition, but now that's where things get crazy. What do they get?
I would still like a third warrior with a KO fast like this, because ETC and Sonya, they're not exactly the most stable of warriors at the front.
Who are you thinking of?
I'm not really thinking of anyone off the top of my head, but Anubarak is kind of the choice. Oh, they go for more damage, so this is an interesting little draft that they've got going here.
Yeah, I was also considering a warrior too, but feeling like they want to be able to have the heroes who can clear out those small camps in the mines very effectively, so they can always make sure they're not getting too behind there. It makes a lot of sense to pick up the Vala there, likely to have a multi-shot build again, although with the Kerrigan, it's possible she'll want to be more duelist with the Hungering Arrow.
Malfurion gets picked up here by Team YL, so great AoE healing, not someone that we see as commonly in the meta nowadays, but still a force to be reckoned with when it comes to, you know, having something at the front, being able to tank for him. Doesn't really have any escape mechanics. That's something that can hurt him.
I think one of the coolest things about Heroes of the Storm is that there's so many battlegrounds, and from one battleground to another, you're gonna see different heroes being useful in different ways. And now Sylvanas, that Sylvanas pick here really highlights that, because she disables those towers, those forts, and she helps a lot here on a map like this.
That's true. For a long time here on Haunted Mines, if you're unfamiliar with the map, the objective is simple. You collect skulls. Those skulls empower golems that push down the lanes and really cause a lot of issues. The way Sylvanas synergizes with that so well is the fact that she disables those towers, allows you to get extra damage done early, and overall, Gilly, it makes for a really potent combo.
It does, and having the Sylvanas to be able to stop those towers attacking means that you can potentially pull out enemies of the opponent's team, who will then have to come out of position trying to defend that golem. So if there's a lot of melee, and we do have at least ETC, Uther, and Sonya there, there's a potential to be able to pull someone out of position. And by the way, who better to aid to pulling someone out of position than, say, Kerrigan?
Yeah. She's able to do that pretty well, let's be honest.
It's actually a wombo in itself, if you think about it. Wombo combo here, where Kerrigan and Arthas are going to be engaging, and then you have to help whoever gets caught, but Wedding Arrow comes in and everybody's silenced.
It all works so nicely. Jaina AoE, Arthur's Howling Blast, Malfurion for roots. This is actually an amazing comp here for Team Wild when we look at it like that.
Yeah, the combination is perfect, I think.
All right, well, that is our draft here for game number 3. It's been quite the long series so far. Make sure to continue to join us on Twitter at the moment. And still, Dignitas with a lead here, even after their initial loss. Make sure to @esports heroes, as well as #heroesWC, and hashtag the team that you think is going to win. 66%, so it went up. Maybe after their win. I'm not sure how you guys felt about that, but regardless.
I think a lot of Europeans are watching, it's safe to assume.
Yeah, probably. It's still
a little bit biased.
It's still not nap time for Europeans over there, so. All right, we can get into game number 3 now. Thank you very much, Gilly. You'll be joining us after game 3 with some more analysis as we go into Haunted Mines here to figure out who is going to be moving on to the winners match in Group A of the Heroes of the Storm World Championship opening week. We have spawning to the left-hand side, it will be Team Dignitas, with Bakery going to be playing on Uther, Snitch on KO Fast, ADRD is on Vala, Athero is going to be on Sonya, and finally we have our ETC whereabouts is here, and it will be played by Zarmony. Then to the right-hand side, we have Team YL with DD playing Jaina. We have Malfurion being played by Guiuj. Zhao Di going to be playing Arthas this time. And then up to the top, we have ourselves Liang going to be playing Sylvanas. There was one more on Kerrigan. But regardless, this is Team YL. And they're looking strong. There's SPY. Of course it's SPY on Kerrigan.
Remember, whoever wins here will be facing Cloud9 in a winners match to try and advance on to the semi-finals.
Yes.
A classic YL setup here in the start of the game.
Always looking for ambushes.
Yeah, always. Like these bushes, they're their bread and butter. That's where they like to hang out.
Yeah, yes they are. They utilize them pretty darn well. And one thing at the moment that's interesting is they are actually hiding where Sylvanas is or where she may be for the upcoming potential battle. You can already see them soaking in these bushes, but they don't really want to reveal where Sylvanas is just yet because you have to rotate and accommodate for her in these lanes.
Yeah, usually on this map, you need to wait to see where Sylvanas is when you're playing against her to make sure that's where you go and that's where you defend. Because if you don't go where Sylvanas is, she's going to be pushing, she's going to be doing so much damage. And now it was revealed that she stopped. But Dignitas is still waiting. There's 3 heroes hiding on each side here.
Maybe they're luring them as far in towards these towers as possible.
They revealed that they were at the bottom there.
Yep.
And now Dignitas is going to start and react.
Not much can be doing about that, but they did lose themselves quite a bit of ammo from those towers at least, but seemingly they don't mind too much.
Oh man, I can't wait until it's time to go down the mines and we see the first fights happening.
Oh god.
The mines
The first mine phase is
There we go.
Don't get me started on this one.
Well, they love chaos. They love fighting. That's what they live for.
Yeah. When was the last time we cast Haunted Mines? Jeez, very rare we actually get to cast it, but here we go. Mines are opening in 17 seconds. They need to clean up these waves and get them pushing so that they can have the best position once they go down into the mines.
I think it was the Europe Regional, maybe like something like Fnatic, one of the Fnatic's game.
Oh, it had to be Fnatic, of course. Of all teams.
Oh, both teams setting up a trap.
Oh, there's a combo. Actually, the Roots just managed to catch him at the very end there as well, but that's already a power slide forwards. Zhao Di gonna go down. Arthas falls as first blood here, going over to Team Dignitas. But you've got to remember that people respawn very fast here when these mines come up.
That was a 5-on-5, and entering the mines first here, this really gives you a huge advantage, because usually you can turn around, set up a trap if you want to, or you can start to get going here with those skulls here that you can start gathering.
I almost feel it's better here for Team Dignitas to just get as much as possible from the small camps and then just get out top and then just do more. Because
this might be what they aim to do. They're not even going to go for the last 2 camps here to make sure they don't get caught. They're happy with 42.
Yeah, because then they get themselves an experience advantage as well if they go
Actually, they're going to go back in. They tap. They wanted to make sure that they had enough mana, so they went, they tapped the fountain here, and they get right back in there. And now it's Team YL getting out of there to try and contest the hard camp, because I think they anticipate their opponent going to be at the hard camp, but they're going to show up there and see that there is nobody.
Big mind games already going out from both of these teams. As this is being soaked for YL, and this is going to be a they're not even going to go for it.
They're going to fight.
Yeah.
Both teams playing so many mind games, trying to anticipate where the opponents are.
He sees them. Get out of there. Oh, that's an alright stun now towards Johanna if they can, Jada if they can follow it. Oh, they're gonna! Another kill goes over towards them, but they did get better soak here to Team YL on the lanes.
Already having 50. Dignitas, they have so much options here to pick from. They can just get out, go for camps if they want to, but it looks they want to get more skulls. Sylvanas was pushing at the top though. You need to not ignore Sylvanas ever, otherwise she's gonna get in earl damage.
She's a scary, scary
they're gonna fight down there.
And
they can though.
They're threatening with Kerrigan on towards the boss, but they know that they're not going to be able to win this.
Everybody's going down there, but Jaina's going to be really late here.
I don't know if they're really going to be able to get much done with this. They have to take this fight, but they're so split up here at Team YL.
There's no reason to fight. It's already 80-20. If they lose the fight, Team YL, they're going to be in so much trouble.
Kerrigan caught at the front. She gets killed off very, very fast there with the stun chain. Zarmany's going to go down as well. The spin to win here, though, from Arthuro at the front. Kills off the Arthas. And that's extra damage going down onto these combinations with Team Dignitas taking a significant advantage.
Team YL really overextending here, going for a fight when there was no reason to. It was already 80-20. They got there way too late. They should have just gone for camps and maybe defended together the first golem.
It was just too much mind games. It was like mind game after mind game after mind game, and it just left them in a horrible spot.
Yeah, you think that on this map they'd be comfortable, they'd be winning those fights, but so far it's really Team Dignitas that's been leading the pace here. With 4 takedown to 1 single one, they start pulling ahead and ahead on experience here.
80 skulls to 20 after the first wave.
That golem is it's going to be an angry one here.
Well, as always, timing out your easy camp to be able to rival the golem. Important here. Thank you, Team YL, for demonstrating that, and that's what you should be doing back at home, guys, here on Haunted Mines. Likewise, Team Dignitas also timing that up as well. But the interesting thing is that the Team Dignitas' towers towards the bottom don't actually have ammo, so they really needed that easy camp.
Yeah, and Sylvanas is actually down there as well, which is a great shot to help push and disable the 4 down the line, take out every single minion that's there very easily as well.
Yeah.
That golem 80 though.
Especially if she can get on towards the hard camp, because then she will really limit any damage coming out from this position while everything is being focused on towards the top. But still, Team YL have got it against them, because this is a really strong push on the top lane.
And the golem 80 is falling almost as rapidly as the golem 20 though, somehow. Oh, I really like that Sylvanas pullback, by the way. I think she realized that some people were missing at the top and she might get attacked.
4 down. It's a good start here for Team Dignitas. They've almost got themselves a level lead at the moment. And still, this golem, 80 scores so early on. It's rare you see it, but it's really taking a lot of punishment.
Yeah, Dignitas, they feel comfortable enough here to go for a bruiser camp in the middle of the map, and I think it's perfectly legitimate for them to do this. They're going to secure it quite easily. Could we see a fight here? Because they're in enemy territories for sure.
It's really not often you see that either. In this kind of 5 versus 5 situation, them having that window to just take the hard camp like they did. and pushing on towards the bottom lane here. If they get some towers, they're going to be rapidly approaching level 10.
Wow, that's combo from across the world.
Oh, Snitch going to end up falling. That's a great pick up towards Kael'thas. This is the opportunity for them that they need. But Arthas falls at the front. Not much tanking potential that they have left over. Arthas is the one tank they have in this conversation. That's a great combo, though. And Valor goes down. 3-1 trade.
SBY is so good from across the wall. He didn't even jump on top of it. He just used his combo, landed it on Kael'thas. I don't think Dignitas even expected here their opponents to engage into them, but that's why YL is so good. They never hesitate. They always go straight away for the fight, especially Shaodi, but this time it was really SBY that really set them up perfectly here for a fight win.
He set up 3 kills. He set up not only the one at the wall, but also the 2 that were going on towards the mine entrance as well. So, moral of the story, probably don't give SYB Kerrigan because he's really, really good with it.
Yeah, I'll stay far away.
Yeah, that'll help too. All right, well, for now, things have pretty much equalized up in experience, all thanks to SYB being a boss. Team Dignitas gonna have to just rapidly move on forward to this.
Yeah, I think both teams, they're just gonna wanna look to try and get level 10 here before they enter the mines and take the next fight. And with how close they are, they should be able to secure that.
The darkness.
Ooh, do they go for the fight? Dignitas. They've been so eager to go into fights in this
Team YL was pretty far there.
And solve the games.
It looks like they can't really deal with it at all. They know that they have their retreat path out towards the mine, so that's good there.
Are they going to meet in the middle of the mines here? Fully knowing that it's level 10 against level 10.
Well, these camps are the ones that have got the juicy skulls.
Here we go. The goal here is to win the fight very convincingly and get a huge golem out of it.
10-10 for each team here at the moment. As we see Vengeance, Reign of Vengeance being taken here.
DD gets caught.
Oh, that's a great little pickup for them if they're able to blow him up soon. The entire team was not there to help out. The Roots tried to go down to save, and there's going to be the Howling Blast to disengage, but whoa, there's the... Oh dear, well,
get out!
Run away.
Get out of the mines! That's what she screamed.
Basically, but that's a great start here for this mines phase here for Team Dignitas.
This means big trouble here for Team YL. They have to get out of there. They're going to be trying to get back in the mines. Looks like Sonya gets out to try and tap that fountain. But so many skulls are already going to be taken here from Team Dignitas. They're already on 53. This is just ideal. And again, they find themselves in the same situation that happened in the first mines, where they already secured that many and now they got so much to choose from. They can go for camps if they want to, they can try to fight in the mines if they want to, and if they lose, it's not the end of the world. They catch Kerrigan!
Oh my, that was quite ambitious and greedy to try and kill off Snitch there.
They were split apart, they didn't group up, and now they paid a high price for it. Losing that Kerrigan is going to mean that more and more skulls are going to go to Team Dignitas, even though they've got only 4 down the mines. Team YL doesn't even dare challenge there.
That's another huge golem that they're going to have. They're trying to push down towards the bottom as consolation prize. As he said, with that fort going down, but Sonya's on the way back and she's going to scream and tell them to go away. So that's a lot of skulls already out here.
Rise,
4 in total.
golems. Rise and
Rise
let
indeed.
loose your
This golem 84 after the initial 80. It's going to be getting right in there.
I wonder if they try and push with it.
To do some structural damage.
Waiting for this easy camp to be timed out nicely with the golem once again. That does spawn a bit closer, obviously, now.
They should push. When you get a golem this big, you want to have at least 4 heroes there pushing here for Team Dignitas. But it looks like they wanted to make sure they got the easy camp first. They're actually going to go with 5, I think, maybe.
Yeah, they got time to get that easy camp and then push along with this. So this is cool time.
Even better with 5, I think. When you get 80 plus, honestly, you can just go with 5. You don't need to have somebody across the map soaking.
Especially if towers and minions die during all of this and they gain 13 and are able to launch an assault while that's going on. Even if a stun goes down on some of these members or they get caught on the wrong side, it could be bad.
This should be
Jaina needed to get on the other side of that wall here. You don't want to be caught by ETC. Anybody that steps out of position for just 1 second,
look how
ETC is going to be jumping on him.
Look how fast Red Team's Golem is actually dying off just to the keep fort as well as the easy camp alone. That is fantastic stuff here for Team Dignitas. They're really seizing the initiative. It's not even at half health here is Team Dignitas' Golem. They're pushing on towards Keep, and if a Keep is lost this early on this map at the 10-minute mark, then
this is a disaster, really.
This could go very, very badly for Team YL.
Level 13 is about to be hit, and with the Golem still being this healthy, they might just try and engage here under the Keep, since the Golem's tanking pretty much everything.
Howling Blast launches in there, is able to actually catch one.
YL engages?
I'm not sure that this is going to go so well for them. Divine Shield's been popped. I really think that they wanted to seize the advantage there, but it wasn't really doing too much at all. Tranquility's been popped. They want to save their keep.
They wanted to surprise. Oh, somebody needs to tank that Phoenix here so that the tank doesn't die.
Oh, the minions do it okay for now.
But
it's,
well,
okay.
No.
It's too much health.
Wow.
But you're right, that's something that can be very, very important.
Nobody has rule, by the way. on a map where Mule can be so important. Nobody has chosen to go for Mule here.
It's all about the aggression, man.
Not going to be able to repair anything here. That would have helped Team YL so much.
And Hardcamp's going to be taken almost free here by Team Dignitas once again, who at the moment, looking at their level 13 talents, nothing too out of the ordinary. Sonya taking Spell Shield, knowing that she wants to just keep herself alive a little bit longer against all of this. Level 13 is now coming in for Team YL, so at least they're able to kind of even up those talent positions. As Kerrigan going for Sprint once again, so foregoing the shields, or the extra shields, for that more potential SBY. He's an aggressive god.
Yeah, going to be getting in there furiously. I think so far, Team YL's biggest mistake was to split way too often and get caught just like this.
Oh no, well that is dead. There's no way Sylvanas is going to be able to keep alive there, and that is the keep going down as well.
And the mines are going to come back up here real soon as well, so that's something to keep in mind. But again, Team YL, they need to group up better, they need to stop getting caught, and they need to take proper fight, because on paper, they've got a great composition with Arthas, Kerrigan at the front, with a Wailing Arrow. Imagine the Wailing Arrow hits 4 or 5 heroes, especially
it's
again,
a game changer.
Against an ETC that's got Mosh Pit, which in this case is actually on cooldown for quite a long time.
And all the more aggressive stance here from Team YL, whereas we have Icy Veins coming out from Jane, so really wants to pump out the damage. Very fast once this fight goes down. But another fort's gonna go the way of Dignitas, and they are just, they're cruising it with the structure damage.
Yeah, they're gonna be great getting right in those mines. If you enter just right in front of your opponents, once again, you can set up a trap. It looks like this might be what they want to do, Ooh, they can slide.
They gotta get out there, they gotta get out of there somehow, but that's a great raid of vengeance, that's gonna tear them to shreds. 3 get obliterated, and that is Team Dignitas making a massive, massive play towards being able to win this series out in the end. That was huge.
And usually this song can only mean one thing, it's a Golem 100, which is the dream. When you get that Golem 100, you can usually finish this kind of game. Team YL, they just fell so far behind. They took a huge risk by going down the mines. They hoped that Team Dignitas wasn't ambushing them, but they were, and they got a taste of their own medicine here for the first time.
Gonna try and clean up what they can up towards the top, but 100 Skull Golem without any keep to help it either. It's just gonna march straight on towards core. If Dignitas went with this Golem, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. They'd be putting on so much pressure here.
Oh, they will. They want to end here, and it's gonna take a miracle here for Team YL to somehow hold on. 100 Golem here this late in the game. It's like not actually that late.
Oh, look at this. They're going to try and set up maybe an angle here. That's one of the ways.
What else do we expect from them at this point?
No, true.
They know they need a miracle. They're going to try to surprise, get a good engagement. If they can snipe somebody very quickly, maybe they have a chance.
They see SBY. SBY's going to go on towards his army already. That's the actual... Pushes them back very, very quickly, though, and they don't really do too much.
They've been revealed.
But the thing is that if they don't go now, if this fight gets delayed out by Team Dignitas, that's fantastic for them, because the core is under threat at the moment. If they stay here, they can't.
That Golem's already walking on the core here. Team YL's plan has been
they're just
revealed.
They can't get there quick enough. They cannot get there quick enough. They need to do damage towards this Golem. They need to kill off the entire force of Team Dignitas here. Unless they get massive, massive AoE damage, this is going to go really, really badly here. That's a good mosh pit, catching 2 of them as well. And even the 3rd gets pushed in. Kerrigan goes down, so does Malfurion. That's 2 falling with a 3-level lead, and Team Dignitas here is going to be victorious.
There's the Wailing Arrow, but too little too late.
Too little too late. The core falls, and Team Dignitas makes the recovery. 2-1 in favor of them. They move on to the winners match here in Group A, and they made Haunted Mines look like, well, their mines, let's be honest.
Yeah, they definitely made it look like they still know how to play the map. You know, they've been around for a very long time. Team Dignitas, again, a lot of these players, they were playing from when the Alpha started. Back then on different teams, actually, they're players from multiple teams, but they did really well for themselves, and they can be proud. Moving on here to face Cloud9. Pretty cool game, Gilly.
Yeah, that was a really cool game, but it definitely was very, very focused toward Team Dignitas pretty much the whole entire time. And I want to talk about one cool combination that they had, this cool setup that we don't see a lot, because we don't see a lot of ETC or a lot of Reign of Vengeance, which is awesome. So let's check out the Windows 10 game DVR replay as we're about to head in. And you talked about having a trap here. and there we're going to see it. So yeah, this is a great example. Dignitas constantly were doing such a really good job of winning fights right before or early on in the mines, and that enabled them to spread out and get very, very large golems. And not only is that important, but it's extra important because if they would ever lose a golem phase to Sylvanas, that's a serious amount of damage that YL could have done. So this is really amazing. You see, they're trying to leave the mines. They realize that the trap has been sprung, but Zarmany here has gone in, and he's going to start pushing people back right into, we have the Rain of Vengeance here from ADRD that will come in. So let's go ahead and play that out. We even saw this again, perfectly hit both Shadow Waves, Shadow Beasts from that Rain of Vengeance. They were able to get 3 takedowns for nothing there, win the mines. And then we even saw that cool combination once again right toward the end of the game.
Really beautiful stuff. Just such strong lockdown, and it shows, you know, that in Heroes of the Storm, you can make these almost anticipatory moves. Obviously, throughout the entire day, we've seen Strafe be the move of choice, but having that second heroic available to you and utilizing it at the right time can really, really make a big difference, Todd.
Yeah, that was a very good choice, I think, here by them to go for the Rain of Vengeance. And in this case, ETC's done pretty well today. Yes. I'm pretty surprised. You know, ETC, like, he's not one of the heroes that seems he's rated as one of the top warriors, but somehow he's looked really good here. You know, not too long ago, it was all about Leoric and Johanna. And now, guess what? The meta keeps on changing, and now ETC today so far has delivered big time.
Wave clear has fallen off quite a bit here. So that does it for our second series here of the day. Obviously, we have a lot more Heroes of the Storm action to come along. Let's take a look at the brackets here for Group A and round things up where we are at the moment. Cloud9 with a 2-0 over GIA, and then we have Team Dignitas with a 2-1 over Team YL. It was looking a bit rocky, a bit shaky between these two. In the end, very, very well matched up, I think.
Yeah, it was really cool to see. It was cool to finally see as well the Chinese region take on the European region. We get to see that again here very shortly with Na'Vi versus Braveheart as well.
Yeah, that's true. So let's take a look at that schedule, actually, to tell you exactly what is coming up very, very soon. We've already had 2 series so far. Next up is a big American favorite in Tempo Storm going up against DK, one of the big hard hitters here that are really, really looking to power on through the entire tournament. Then we have Braveheart and Na'Vi coming along, and for match 5, Cloud9 and Dignitas are 2 winners from Group A. We'll be battling it out to find out who takes that top spot here in Group A. So some really cool matches to come along, guys.
There's so many good matches, and so far, I mean, game-wise, with having seen all of these games, this is really turning out to be the World Championship we all expected it to be, with a lot of amazing games, some niche picks, and we've seen in only 2 series, we've already seen so much. It's so far from over as well. This is really nice.
You're totally right, and no doubt we've got more to come, because let's be honest, still a lot of these teams have never played each other. Tempo Storm going up against DK Gilly. There's bound to be some kind of craziness going on here as well.
There's going to be craziness, and it's a battle of strength, right? Tempo Storm for so long has been the strong contender from North America, and they're still, you know, very, very scary, even though they ended up losing to Cloud9 in the Americas Championship. But man, DK had to go through a lot of strong opponents to get to where they are too.
And don't forget, guys, of course, all of this is in aid of BlizzCon as we gear up in just about a week and a bit's time here as we do get closer to BlizzCon. So make sure to check out blizzcon.com for all the information there, not only in Heroes of the Storm, but also the other games here from Blizzard that are coming along to you. But for now, guys, that does it from us. We're going to head over to Anna, who I believe is with ADRD from Team Dignitas.
Indeed I am, guys. Congratulations to you and Team Dignitas. How are you feeling right now? That was our first set that went to 3 games.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Like, our games were not that confident. Like, we won 2-1. We expected to take like 2-0, but I'm pretty happy that we won.
Yeah, in Game 2 even, you know, we saw Game 1, you unfortunately fell to YL. Game 2, we thought we were seeing YL win, but instead you were very patient, you waited and were able to push them back. Tell us, where was the turning point in that game and how you guys got there?
We were getting caught off guard with Shadow Stock of Tyrande, and in the last fight, they didn't kill anyone with Shadow Stock. So from that point, it was very hard for them to win a team fight. So they turned it around.
Indeed, and we actually saw ETC be a huge factor in all of these games. They played ETC 2 games, and then you took it from them in that last game. Tell us about ETC, as it's someone that we don't see as often in the Americas region or in Europe. What is it that you figured out about using ETC that allowed you to come out on top in that 3rd game?
ETC is a very strong hero. Like, he can get picks early, easily with his stun. And if you get one good mosh pit, you pretty much win the game from that.
Yeah, I mean, it looked very, very strong. And now, you said you're not feeling super confident after those matches. You thought they might go better than you actually saw. Now you're going on in the bracket to face Cloud9. How do you feel confidence-wise against them?
I was not that confident, but after I've seen Cloud9 playing, they were not really doing that well versus GIA. So I think we should take it now.
All right, well, we're looking forward to watching that match. Congratulations again. And guys, we actually are going to check out a little bit about Tempo Storm before we get into our next match. See you soon.